again on Friday. Down go the slips. Woke's on his way, bowls, and again quite straight. This time played to mid-on by Brooks.
But you talk about personnel, you can also talk about combinations as well. Maybe you want one enforcer, maybe they want two, maybe they want one enforcer, the elder statesman in Edinburgh or Anderson, and then a clever swinger of the ball is what they want, and then you just find the persons or the personnel to drop in a given game.
You can imagine Leach coming back actually, unless Best does something dramatic today, because they've got Root to bowl off spin as well. Wokes, there's a leading edge, and that almost would have given a catch in the gully. The ball runs down to third man, and they'll come back for three, but that was a bit of a flicky shot through mid-wicket that got the leading edge and flew through that vacant area. And that scrambled seam from Wokes, but the bat didn't come through very straight.
Yeah, he's played a few of those over mid-wicket in the couple innings he played in Southampton in the first innings here as well. That one just seaming away nicely and getting the leading edge. Thankfully for Brooks, going into the vacant gully area. But again, batting, good fielders out of position.
We've got actually the Hawkeye cameras absolutely blocking where a gully would be, so I'm relieved to see he wasn't on there for that, but we got them strapped to some scaffolding in front of us here, and sound effects boom microphones as well, so our view a bit obscured of the slip cordon. 65 for 4, and Wokes bearded with a pavilion behind him. Runs in once more and bowls outside the off stump, and Blackwood mistimes that forcing shot. He's certainly looking to be more positive than he was at Southampton. Yeah,
he is. I guess a bit of runs behind him. Obviously, he got that one in the first innings. He could do nothing with it.
No.
But this is how he bats best. It wasn't always culminating an aerial shot, but he needs to stay positive, get into good positions.
Blackwood waits. Wokes is there now. Bowls turn around off stump, but he turns it into the leg side, slightly crookedly, hence the noise you could hear there from behind the stumps. And Blackwood simply comes up and taps away at the pitch a couple of times. Lots of activity in the nets. West Indian reserves and England reserves. There's so many players. As I was saying yesterday, the fact is that any of those could suddenly find themselves playing in the match halfway through. If someone were to go down ill. Wokes bowls short of a length, and it's played one-handed by Blackwood, looking to force the ball away, but it's mistimed. It's 65 for 4 at the end of the over. The target 312, and 62 overs left for England to take the 6 wickets that remain. So that's why they're all staying fit and doing what they can, because if any of the players were to go down, or at least have the suspected symptoms of the coronavirus, they can be instantly and immediately replaced, and they go into a quarantine.
Can you imagine one of the West Indian reserves being here for a month, playing 2 practice games, then doing nothing for 2 weeks in a match sense, and then being thrown into a potential 3rd test decider and having to bat or bowl to win the game for your region?
Tough, isn't it? So fast bowlers running in there though, Carlos. Let's see. Now Bess is coming on. He's coming on from this end. This is the end that Chase found some spin in England's first innings. There's a short leg and a slip. Man out at deep mid-wicket. Mid-on set back a little, and there's also the deep point fields when encouraging Bess to bowl this line outside the off stump. 65 for 4. England needs 6 wickets to win. His Best tossing it up, a low full toss, and driven out to deep point for 1 run. 66 for 4. And the field remains the same for Blackwood, who's not wearing a sleeveless sweater. His batting partner Brooks has got the West Indian sleeveless on. Blackwood, a slip and a short leg, comes forward and drives crisply along the ground to Mid-off thought about a single. He set off there for a pace or two, which I think rather alarmed Brooks. And then shouted no as Root was able to field, and Best gets to work, polishing the ball on his shirt. Tously hair, again quite long. And he goes over the wicket and gives that a bit of a flick because it's spinning. It's a little bit short, and Blackwood runs that away towards third man. So one more run is taken. 68 for 4. The target 312 for the West Indies. And yes, Bess's hair is getting a little wild. He hasn't gone for the headband.
Nor the Alice man?
No, not neither. It's quite shaggy, isn't it? And he goes over the wicket, bowls again with a bit of a flick, has driven firmly back at him. But, into the pitch first. Bess gathers. Spins himself a catch or two. Walks in and bowls. That's a lovely shot past Root's left hand. That's a really handsome shot from Blackwood. That'll go for 4. Perfectly in position.
No, it's not every day you'd mention Raoul Dravid in the same sentence as Jermaine Blackwood.
Okay.
He'd be very proud of that. He made mention of hitting against the spin to get the best contact, and an extra cover drive against the off spinner all along the ground.
It was a beautiful shot there.
Lovely.
Everything right. Just that little element of tiniest little bit of risk because it was against the spin, but it was full enough. Beautifully put away. 72 for 4. The target 312. Best goes round the wicket turn, and that turns, but a little bit too short to inconvenience him. It's played out to mid-wicket, and that's the end of the over. 72 for 4, so 24 overs gone. The target 312. We've got 61 overs of play left today for England to try and win this game and level the series and set it all up for the final test, which starts on Friday. More thoughts from Carlos Brathwaite, and then Alison Mitchell will come in here.
They've been impressed with Blackwood. First innings, everyone made a couple of jokes at how he got out, and I think he realised he's good enough to trust his defence, and he's powerful enough to hit the ball on the ground. And the same shots he would have been playing aerially, he's now started to play all along the ground, and he's built an innings in that 95, got an unplayable one in the first innings, but he looks good again for his 26 not out thus far.
Yeah, he is looking all right, isn't he, Carlos? Stuart Broad, what a terrific spell from him. Well, for his 10 overs, 3 for 25. And taking a breather now with Wokes coming in from the James Anderson end. England on the hunt for 6 more wickets. And the West Indies a long way to go to save the game yet. 61 overs left. A bit chillier out there today than it has been on previous days, isn't it? Notice the players with their hands dug into the pockets, hand warmers.
I needed my big thick jacket this morning.
I saw that. Wokes in, covering up Brooks coming forward on off stump. Big sheepskin number got Carlos. Now, it's not the middle of winter. You're based in the UK. You should be accustomed to the chillier days of summer. But 72 for 4 then. Brooks on 17. Blackwood at the non-striker's end. Practicing a few gentle shadow shots down there. The wind is briskly blustering, keeping the flags standing very proud, waving on top of the pavilion. Here is Brooks facing up again. Wokes is in. It's full and straight. He's punch driven it, but into the ground, hasn't quite timed it. Up to mid-off, where it's picked up, and there is no run. Alistair Cook's come into the hot seat. So far, so good for England. Need to keep pushing here.
Yeah, it's been a good 24 overs. Just wondered if this ball's just gone that slightly bit softer. The players are mentioning it after 40 overs, they definitely notice a difference, but it's the last 4 or 5 overs, I haven't quite seen that, that inconsistent bounce we'd seen with a slightly harder ball.
And Wokes had got some nice shape when the ball was new as well. And he goes now with 3 slips, change of ends for him. Oh, that one has sat up, and it's been taken by Butler behind the stumps. Now, finger hasn't gone up though, and the batsman isn't moving. Well, there was a definite deflection, it seemed. To come off.
That did something. I think it's come off his forearm. Chris Rokes was just saying to Joe Root that he thought it came off his forearm.
Well, Root has been timed out now. The timer for DRS has ticked away to 0. Cut one very fine earlier for the catch behind that dismissed John Campbell. This time, no review. But that one, it did really kick up. So it's squeezed past it. Oh, did that come off glove?
They hit the handle. Did it hit the handle?
Let's have another look. It's been dug in, rears up. A kiss of dust off the surface as well. Difficult to tell from that view.
Yeah, it's definitely hit the arms, just whether
I think.
it brushed the handle on the way through.
Wokes in again now down the leg side, taken by Butler. And no run.
We have to wait for the old Snicko to, what was it, Snicko or Ultra Edge, whatever they call it these days, to show us whether, I mean, very hard for the umpires. It definitely hit his back arm.
Whether it took something on the way through.
Yeah, just whether it took something on the way through, you're right.
We're still getting the replays. And the bottom hand comes off the bat. I'm really not sure. I think you want to see the technology. Even then, you're going to be having to tell the difference between spike on arm versus spike on anything else. Full blocked by Brooks. High front elbow. Getting back well in behind the ball. Fielded there by Sibley at cover. 72 for 4. Wokes took the wicket of Craig Brathwaite earlier today. Now here is the Ultra Edge, and we're getting a sideways on view as well. That looked like it's kissed the handle. There's a mark. Surely that's saying there was a mark as the ball kissed the handle, and then a bigger spike as it hit the arm. But yeah, I think that goes down as a review missed.
It would have been turned over, definitely. Would have been given out.
Yep.
Very hard for umpire Illingworth to give that out.
Wokes in again, full straight, and it's turned away past the square leg umpire behind square. And Brooks comes back for a second. Well, it took us until we got the sideways view and the slow motion and the Snicko to give our own judgment. So, yeah, I don't think any particular fault of the umpire. It's his judgment call. And then again, it was England's judgment call not to review it equally. A little bit of handle, a little bit of right forearm. And then Butler taking a catch, tumbling to his right-hand side. But
I was saying about the ball lost its bit of hardness and the next one kicked up.
yeah, that's sort of encouraging signs for England that there will still be a little bit of unpredictability in the pitch, and makes it that much harder for West Indies to see out the next 60 overs still left in the day. They've got Bess from this end getting ready to bowl to Blackwood. Incredible start to his innings, throwing the bat everywhere.
It's played very nicely, very different ways of trying to save the game. 26 of 29 balls. I don't think England will mind that too much. You always think you've got a chance against Blackwood in this kind of mood. He played really sensibly, didn't he, in Southampton? So it's a bit of a change of tempo for him. I wonder if he's just going to settle down a little bit. You wonder whether Joe Root could keep deep mid on up. And now he's back for Blackwood.
Bess in the partnership worth 37 as he's forward defending into the onside.
Give him that gamble to try and, if he wants to take the risk, or is it just a little sign that trying to set defensive field, let Don Bess settle into his role and hopefully find a bit of rhythm.
It's Bess in again, full driven. Finding the gap beautifully, threading it between extra cover and mid off for 4. All the way along the ground, controlled stroke.
Well, very full in these 8 or 9 balls he's bowled, and a couple of strong drives again. That's very full. Just need to drag that length back.
Again, yeah, the spinner. Fourth innings is in his mind that he's thinking, should be the one to be taking the wickets here.
Absolutely. It takes a while to get used to that kind of pressure and be able to deliver in an England shirt, and Dom hasn't had that much experience of these kind of conditions.
Bess it in again, straight in. Quick single being taken to mid-off. The gather, a throw to the striker's end, and Brooks is safely through. 79 for 4 then, and Blackwood on to 31. I mean, Bess he relishes the challenge. His attitude speaks that he has the right aptitude to take this on and to be that bowler, but you still have to develop and mature into that role. As he comes in now with his tousled hair past the umpire, bowls again, draws the backwards and forward, defending out to the offside, no run.
And ultimately improve your technique and groove it so you are consistent with your actions, so you can land the ball very small spot time and time again. And he's a very young man, so he's got a lot of improving to do. Graham Swan came in at 28, and he had a lot more experience when he had first class experience to be the bowler he was when he started.
Slipping short leg there, defence again. Brooks coming forward, and no run. Yeah, Don Best has a lot of learning to do, but I feel like he's somebody who takes things on board. Only 22 years of age, and it's only his 7th Test match. In he comes. It's the umpire, last ball of the over. More drift, come off the outside edge, but safe, just plopping into the ground as the batsman was drawn forward again. And end of the over. Brooks 19, Blackwood 31, West Indies 79 for 4. To remind you, they were set a target of 312 in 85 overs. And that was possible because Ben Stokes resumed his overnight innings. He was not out on 16 off 18 and proceeded to crash his way to 78 not out in 57 balls, 4 fours and 3 sixes in that time. And it was really from the get-go. Ball 1, throwing the bat. Okay, a couple might have gone in the air. He was dropped as well on 30. I mean, that'll be something to look at, the deeper the West Indies managed to take this innings. But at the moment, the runs aren't exactly flowing for them, but all the same, Stokes dropped on 30, and then England added 92 in 11 overs.
Could be a big swing, that, couldn't it? Because if Ben Stokes got out, England wouldn't be in this position with the amount of runs on the ball, because you saw Joe Root struggling to do the same amount of damage as Ben Stokes was doing. So it's probably a 4 or 5 over swing Ben Stokes' calls for England. So actually later on in the day could prove, especially here, there's a bit of resilience from West Indies. England look like they might need all these 60 overs.
And Blackwood is 31 off 32, facing up now to Wokes, who's in bowling full. He's defending back up the pitch. Wokes picking up one-handed in his follow-through. I always felt as if Blackwood had come out with a Stokes mindset to say perhaps he's been given licence to go hard. If he can back himself and go hard for a few overs and just get the scoring up a little bit, get the scoreboard moving, and then take stock again. And as he said, saw in Southampton, it was that mature innings of them being able to bat in a more measured fashion. But he sort of reined himself back in since then. Works in or beaten by a beauty. Through to Butler. He's nodding his approval almost. So, yep, I got done well and truly then.
Yeah, Graham Thorpe used to sometimes tell us if he was struggling with a bit of rhythm, that he would go out looking to hit boundaries straight away, because that will get him moving. And if he gets to 20, then he would rein himself back in, and he felt his movements were then better. So he'd almost gamble a bit early on in his innings just to get everything moving. Blackwell on the naught in the first innings.
Yeah. In goes Wokes again full, and he's coming forward looking to drive, but doesn't really get hold of it. Up to Broad, who kneels to gather at mid-on.
Yes, so you play attacking, you kind of hit the ball on a length outside the stump. He said he'd throw everything at it, commit to doing it, and then kind of got in quicker, and then he could settle back down into his rhythm. And Blackwood could be that kind of player, but you just don't know what. I've seen him bat a number of times. You just don't know what Blackwood you're going to get, and I wouldn't have predicted he could have played as well as that last weekend. So that's why you keep on the edge of his seat, don't you? This guy
works in again. There's some width, and that's him played away down towards third man for 4, and that was very deliberate. I knew there was no man back on that boundary, but it was pretty gutsy of him to come out and do that when he was on a pair.
Yeah, he's away now, isn't he? 30. Was he on 30 odd?
35 from 36. 7 fours.
83 for 4 then. Now it's taking a while for this ball to be retrieved. I think that has been retrieved. Of course, you sort of forget that there's nobody in the crowd to quickly throw the ball back in. And of course, I can see Gareth Copley, photographer, down there in the front row of the stand, but he can't get up and touch the ball. So he just has to, nope, he's shaking his head. No, Gareth, you stay sitting there. Down to the players.
Got a very big camera, hasn't he, on Gareth there?
He's got to see a long way from that boundary edge. Got the full long lens out. Wokes in from a little wide with the crease down the leg side. He's got something on it. Picked up at fine leg. Did it come off the pad? It did. Leg by signalled. 84 for 4 then. Blackwood onto 35 off 37. Stokes left the field momentarily. Looks like he's about to be ready to come back on again. It's Zach Crawley standing in at second slip between Root and Burns at the moment. It's been an overcast day all day. Felt this morning as if it was going to be a bright blue sky batting day, but maybe this is a little bit in England's favour.
Sunny day in Manchester, this.
In comes Wokes. Bowling full. That's been clipped up to Broad at mid-on, a tumbling half-stop and misfield, and he's then chasing back, and batsman cross for a second. Broad sends a throw back in. Broad's looking a bit chilly out there. He's got a full long-sleeve cable knit sweater on, along with the wide-brimmed white sun hats. Bit of a mixed bag. 86 for 4. He's not quite sure which way to play it. Cold day, but a bit of sunshine every now and again.
And that wind's got a bit of chilling, isn't it? Also, we're sat inside and it's fine, but I think it is. Every player's got some hand warmers, I think. You see Joe with his hand in his pockets quite a lot of the time. I assume he's got hand warmers in there.
Yeah, I like to think he's not just there at slips with his hand in his pockets looking disinterested. No, I think it's all with the hand warmers. So 86 for 4, drinks being brought out onto the field here. England hunting for 6 more wickets to win this test match, and the West Indies were set 312 in 85 overs. They've got to try and bat out the day to draw the match, and then that would secure them the trophy, what with one match still to come in this 3-match series. England in a huddle then, having some drinks. A reminder, if you want to see those wickets that have fallen, and a brilliant spell again from Broad, those highlights are available now on the BBC Sport website and the app, and then we've got the whole day encapsulated into 1 hour with Today at the Test on BBC 2 from 7pm, and then that stays on the iPlayer as well, so you can catch up on that whenever is convenient for you. But the wickets to fall today, then I'll take you through those after that amazing innings by Stokes and the drama of the first half hour of the day. The first wicket, Broad with his 5th delivery of the innings. John Campbell was caught behind. Now this was an interesting one, Alistair, wasn't it? Because it was a very late review called for by Root. There was an appeal, a half-hearted appeal, no response from the umpire, and then Root decided to look pretty much just as the timer ticked down to 0, so he snuck it in there, and indeed there was a brush on Snicko. So Campbell gone for 4. The second wicket to fall was Craig Brathwaite. That was an important one because England well aware that he can bat long, probably the more likely of the West Indies batsmen to be able to stick there out in the middle. LBW Wokes for 12, and then Shea Hope came out, bowled by Broad for 7, and that was an incredible clean-up. Spectacular sight. Ball coming back, top of off stump, 23 for 3 at that stage, and then Ruston Chase, LBW Broad for 8. He offered no stroke. And at that point, 37 for 4 after 15 overs. So these two are putting together a useful partnership, but they need a big partnership. They need a hefty partnership of longevity.
Yeah, they played really well, these two. I've been really impressed with Brooks throughout this series. You haven't seen much of him. He's got a really simple technique, very well organised, and he looks a really good player. And again, he's hanging in there. Blackwood's been aggressive, hasn't he? He's been probably the more of Blackwood that we'd expected. Not the same as Southampton, but he's done a good job. These two are going to have to bat a long time, aren't they? Holder and Dowridge next 2, then they're only 3 wickets away from Joseph. That's what England had to be telling themselves. Those last 3 you fancy won't take too long to create 3 chances against them. So in the partnership like this, you'll be telling yourselves that we're 3 wickets away from Joseph. And that's what you've got to kind of keep believing, and not often you just roll through a side anytime. There's always a partnership at some stage, and England are just in it in the moment. They could just do with Don Best bowling a Jaffa here to him for his confidence and for to make West Indies 5 down.
Yeah, that would be great for Best, wouldn't it? Got the 1 wicket in the first innings. It was the night watchman Alzari Joseph. That was important for him to dislodge him as well, because he'd played quite a sprightly knock at that point. But Best ball in hand again. They've had the drinks. 86 for 4 then. Grey sky overhead, a chill in the air. A final day which began with every result possible. And Ben Stokes pushed things in England's direction. The declaration came. Best in now. It's just turned off the straight and gone with the spin Blackwood. Out towards deep square leg past Broad and coming back for a second. He's got the short leg in place, got the slip there as well. So another couple.
We're up a 50 partnership from 12.1 overs.
Yep, very, very handy runs. Blackwood and Brooks together. So it was Brathwaite who spanned 2 50 partnerships during the first innings. But now it's down to these two for the moment. Bess in, Fuller forces the batsman went back that time. Blackwood defending. 88 for 4. Stokes is whirling his arms over at first slip. Yet to see him this innings. He's done it with the bat. Could he be the man to break the partnership with ball? Bess in over the wicket again. Goes forward. Blackwood defends back up the pitch. And there's no run. Do you think there is anything wrong with Stokes' toe?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I just think with this side that Joe Root's got, he's got a lot of options, isn't he? And on this kind of wicket, Don Bess, it has been turning.
Bess in again. Defence once more. Coming well forward. Blackwood looking solid.
With the three other seamers, you're going to go to spin. That's probably why he's been the last seamer to be turned to. And he'll make a difference. He'll make something happen. That is a certain.
Bess in past umpire Gough. Flick of the wrist to mid-wicket where Rory Burns is fielding in his Navy England cap. Bearded, got the sleeveless jumper on, long-sleeved shirt beneath. Don Bess bowling with his collar up. Now that's reminiscent of Graham Swan. I think he's got the top button done up as well. And he goes over the wickets. Forward again. Defence getting that bat and pad really tight together is Blackwood. 88 for 4. And so what is going to happen here? Are we going to have some Stokes right now? Looks like we are. And get ready to bowl from the James Anderson end. Well, there's been another little potential shift in the day's play here. First time we'll see Ben Stokes bowl in this innings.
Imagine the crowd now. If there was a crowd in there, the roar he'd got when they announced that Ben Stokes was on after his heroics in the first innings and the third innings.
Yep. And then just his innings with the bat showed absolutely demonstrated the all-round cricketer that he is and what he's developed into as a batsman, because we saw shifting gears in the first innings. We saw how long he can bat, how patiently he can bat, how he can expand and then rein himself in as if he's got his own batting talent on a string, and he'll just give himself a little bit more to play with and then just reel himself in a little bit. And then this morning we just saw the whole lasso being thrown.
Gave him first ball and it walked down to Roach and just cracked it to the offside, only for one, but
here's Stokes then, his first ball. It's outside the off stump to Brooks and he's leaving it alone through to Butler.
But he showed his intent, didn't he? Straight away. I'm having 2 or 3 overs to play myself in. We need runs quickly and I'm going to go first ball.
Yeah, it was amazing to watch. Absolutely amazing. Reminiscent of the way he played the Australians at Headingley. Slightly different scenario, but equally in a way that put England in a commanding position. And it could yet have drifted and squeaked into a different direction. Here is Stokes in again and just surprised Brooks a little bit. As if he was in two minds whether to really commit to a forward defence or not, and ended up more upright and drawing away at the last moment. You're busting out the bubble after this, Alistair. This is your last test of this series with us.
I am. Back to Essex training tomorrow. We've got waiting for those fixtures to come through for those 5 games in the Bob Willis Cup to start. I think our first game's against Kent, actually.
Here's Stokes in again to Brooks.
Yes.
A big drive. He's got the nick. No, he hasn't. Through to Butler. Well, it was taking a big stride forward outside the off stump and forward to Stokes. Really liked the look of it, didn't he?
It was a full ball. Just got Ben Stokes got that away shape, draw him into the shot, and I heard something in my ears. I thought it was quite a clear nick, but I must have not listened properly.
Be deceptive, the noises in your ears. Stokes in again though. The offer up to Brooks once more. It's straighter, tucks him up. Ball comes off the outside edge into the ground and out towards point. Well, it's just a change-up, isn't it? A new bowler, it's Stokes. It's his force of personality that he brings when he comes running in as well that will make a batsman wary.
Yeah, and also he at some stage might come around the wicket, bowl some bouncers as well, just to keep the West Indies on their toes like he did in that kind of 11-over spell in the first innings. Definitely doesn't need to do it now. There's plenty there if he can find that Stuart Broad area.
Stokes goes in. This is tucked off the hip, past the square leg umpire. Coming back for a second. Chase out into the deep. It's a gentle 2 in the end, so the first run's conceded by Stokes. 90 for 4, the West Indies. Who was a bowler when you were facing that almost sort of had that similar force of personality. And you're lucky to play with some pretty bowlers who had big personalities and big presences, I suppose. Big presence, that's what Stokes does, isn't it? That's what he's got, which is accentuated by the crowd getting behind him when he comes onto bowl. You're absolutely right. It adds to the theatre and the drama of the moment. Stokes here, he's taken a flash outside the off stump, missed, through to Butler once more. So a couple of shots which could have brought about a wicket during that first Ben Stokes over. West Indies are 90 for 4 then, set 312 by England. I'll let you ponder that question, Alistair. And Simon Mann's then coming in.
Yeah, Ben Stokes just makes things happen. Actually, 2 innocuous balls and then 2 absolute jaffers, and then a ball which the last ball, the over, was just in the channel and makes something happen. Brooks, maybe if it wasn't Ben Stokes, would have easily put it away, but just at the moment, what the Ben Stokes has got in this game, it just feels as if any time there could be a nick. And just West Indies, a bit of a strange over that one. I couldn't quite work out what was happening.
Well, if you can't, it'll be a mystery for everyone else as well. 90 for 4, 29 overs have been bowled. Best bowls, that's hit forcefully by Blackwood up towards long on for a single. It's good batting from Blackwood. I know there's a bit of risk there, but it also transfers a bit of pressure back onto the bowling side. You do play a few shots. And he's also eating up balls as well.
He's done the damage now, hasn't he? If he can now just settle into a nice bit of rhythm, in terms of damage, in terms of the field has gone back.
Brooks is on 23 meanwhile, and he drives into the offside, goes out to extra cover where it's picked up by Crawley, and there is no run. So there are 55 overs left in the day's play after this one. So still bags of time for England. It'll feel like a long, long haul for West Indies, but these two giving them a bit of a chance here. Here's best bowling, and that's hit firmly into the onside by Brooks to mid-wicket. Remember, the target is 312. 85 overs. So it's about 4 and over from here if West Indies want to chase it. And these two are playing positively. Brooks on 23, slipping a short leg in. Best bowls. Oh, he nearly plays on there. Very nearly plays on. Chopped that into the ground, hit Butler's pads, and then rolled forward into the crease.
Yeah, not a good shot to the ball turning in. Just trying to dab it down to that vacant point area, but it's high risk that for very little reward, and that's again so easily could have just chopped onto the stumps.
He wasn't far away from that off stump. He hit Butler on the helmet and then rolled forward. Best again bowls to Brooks, who takes that off the stumps, giving himself some room to try to hit that through the offside. It was a fraction short though from Best, so it wasn't a very high risk shot. Picked up by Crawley in the covers. There's no run. 91 for 4. Last ball of Best is over. He's bowled 4 overs so far. No wicket for 15. Oh, and it goes past the outside edge of Brooks's bat. Perhaps just playing for some turn there. It was one that just went straight on through to Butler, who whipped off the bails for good measure. But Brooks's back foot was anchored. Anything that sort of helping them a bit here. They're playing 1 or 2 shots, and that might just free them up a bit and gives England a chance. But these two are playing nicely at the moment.
Yeah, because Brooks has looked really just solid, isn't he? And then that last over to Stokes, I was trying to work it out. He had a big couple of whooshkas outside off stump. Out of nowhere, really. Out of absolutely nowhere. He's been so controlled. And we know Blackwood's been aggressive, but Brooks has just been really controlled. Then Ben Stokes comes on, and he would have just left those balls 10 minutes ago. Now Ben Stokes come on, he's played massive drives at it, and that's why I couldn't quite work out how that's happened. Anyway.
Well, let's see what Stokes can induce in this over. Blackwood is on 38. West Indies are 91 for 4. Stokes coming in from the Jimmy Anderson end, bowls outside the off stump, and Blackwood lifts the gloves and lets the ball go through to Joss Butler. The weather, it's brighter now than it was, say, an hour ago. Some blue sky away to our left-hand side, and a stiff breeze as well to blow any dark clouds away.
Was it on air with you yesterday? I read out my mum's text message of her report.
Yeah. Have you got more today?
I've got more. Yeah, I got one last night. I thought I'd save it when you're on air.
All right.
With us.
This is Stokes rolling into bowl to Blackwood. He's up on his toes, playing defensively into the offside towards extra cover, and there's no run.
So she's been throughout this test match. I haven't known. She's been sending a message of her report of the day from her eyes, like So it was a day 4 report started off actually, this one. Pleasantly cool conditions for gardening. Listen to TMS. 10th interesting day with lots of swings and roundabouts. Slow start to the day with no great problems for West Indies. It goes on, you better do this ball next.
Okay.
It's quite a long one, this one.
This is Stokes going into ball, a drive and a miss from Blackwood. Not far away from off stump as well. Blackwood looks frustrated with himself, but that wasn't a great shot. Didn't look a great shot anyway. 91 for 4, and the non-striker Brooks comes down to have a word with him. Come on, we've got a test match here to save. Blackwood saying we've got a test match to win.
Well, yeah, on this strike rate, I'll give him a chance. So then she went on to say, I was surprised that Stokes did not bowl earlier, and then was even more surprised that he bowled 11 consecutive overs. And then she was resigning herself to the draw. Must predicted text spelt wrong, which was a bit...
Stokes bowls, 4 goes Blackwood, playing that towards mid-on, and there's no run.
Which she then went on later on text message when she realised that she spelt draw wrong. And when the new ball cometh, there was the Broady batch followed by the Wokesees wickets, which put a different perspective on the day. So basically, she's better than me at this job, and she should be doing it instead.
Oh, we can get her in for the next test match. You're heading off.
Exactly. And then the final? Did anything else? Oh, we talked about her name. Stephanie was her name in grammar school. Elizabeth, the new queen, is very popular, and there's 5 Elizabeths in the class, so she volunteered to change.
Right, okay.
Finally found out.
Stokes bowls, Blackwood gets a single into the offside to the right of backward point. Takes West Indies to 92 for 4, and Blackwood to 39. I'd have to say I'd be keener to hear her report on your commentary, what she thinks of your commentary, your summarising. Does she do that or not?
Not yet. That could be what it should be. If TMS is summariser through Mum's eye, Mum's ears.
There we are, Mrs. Cook. That's your next challenge.
It'll come through quickly, I reckon.
Stephanie or Elizabeth? Do you go by Stephanie or Elizabeth now?
Go with Stephanie for you.
Stephanie. All right. This is Stokes bowling. He's up on his toes. Brooks turning that through square leg for 1. Are they going to come back for the second? They do. Fielder Pope is slightly off balance, actually, but sends it over the head of Butler. Backed up at backward point by Bess. 2 more to the total, 94 for 4 at the end of 31 overs, so they're scoring at around about 3 and over, just over 3 and over. There are 54 overs left. They need 312 to win. The game's at a very interesting stage at the moment. You do feel there are quick wickets available on this pitch.
Well, because England got 3 wickets quite early, even if there's a partnership, you just know that the rest of these 54 overs, they know if they go another bang bang, they can change very quickly. You just have a feeling again this is going to go down to the wire, don't you?
We could be in for a very exciting finish later on. 54 overs left. New over from Best, bowling to Blackwood. Best still looking for his first wicket in his second innings. And he's played away by Blackwood into the onside. We're getting his bat out in front of his pad there. Blackwood, you feel, gives you a chance. Played superbly last Sunday in Southampton. I thought that was the man of the match performance, to be honest, but they gave it to Shannon Gabriel for his 9 wickets. Here is Bess, nudged away past short leg by a flinching Blackwood. Goes to Broad at backward square leg.
So you just know, don't you? You just think he might. He just fancies going over mid-off, don't you? You know that's in his mind. He just thinks, I can play that shot. I can play that shot. And the bloke on the shoulder will be telling him to do it.
Best to Blackwood, he's back. Turning that to Broad, backward square leg, and there's no run. Presumably there's a long on in. There is. Can't see him, he's beneath the gantry in front of the box. Deep cover, deep mid-wicket, long on. 3 men out for Blackwood against Bess. Bess goes in and bowls, and too short there. Blackwood's back, forcing it into the onside, goes to Burns at mid-wicket. And there is no run. It's a big battle out there. Blackwood trying to piece it together, but that aggressive streak in him as well. He wants to take the bowling on. Reined it in superbly last week. Helped West Indies win that match. Best bowls to him. It's nudged away past short leg. In the air for a moment. There was a groan from Ollie Pope at short leg. Broad has to run back towards the deep square leg boundary. And Blackwood moves into the 40s with 2 more runs. 41 to him. West Indies at 96 for 4. Don Bess. Looking at this West Indies batting line-up and thinking, where are all those left-handers gone? All the other sides seem to have.
I've got some stats on off-spin to right and left-handers for you. I can cut to the end of this over after this ball from Bess.
Okay. Moves in now and bowls to Blackwood. It's short and pummeled away by Blackwood. Whether that hit Pope at short leg, I'm not sure. It didn't go that forcefully out to deep mid-wicket. Might just have taken some of the pace of it by hitting his shin pads or bottom of his boot. Anyway, it was a single to Blackwood, who's taken the bowling. He's looking aggressive, and it's interesting for the game as well. Blackwood 42, West Indies 97 for 4. They're not, by no means just sitting on the splice here. They are playing one or two shots as well.
I think some of the top off spinners in recent years, their records to right and left-handers. Nathan Lyon averages 36 to right-handers, 23 to left-handers. Graham Swan was 37 to right-handers, 21 to left-handers. Ashwin 31 to right-handers, 20 to left-handers, and Moeen Ali just under 40 to right-handers, 30 to left-handers. So there's been it's a big task for an off spinner to pretty much exclusively right-handed batting lineup. The exceptions to this, going back a while, were the unorthodox right-arm off-spinners. Muralitha and Harbhajan Singh, Syed Ajmal and Saklane Mushtaq all had better records to right-handers than left-handers.
Stokes to Blackwood. Blackwood up on his toes, guiding it away into the offside purely defensively. And there is no run. Tough as it's here.
Oh, hello. Yeah, all of them had doozeries.
Yes, so that was the challenge that they played. They offered to the right-handed batsman, the ball turning away since 2015, and we haven't seen many of that type of bowler in world cricket in recent years. All off-spinners combined in Test cricket since the start of 2015 have averaged 40 against right-handers and 27 against left-handers, which might ask some questions about selection, possibly.
Yeah, with Leach in the ranks. Here is Stokes bowling. That's driven by Blackwood into the offside for runs. 2, possibly 3. Wokes is after it from mid-off, and they come back for 3 runs. Takes West Indies to 100. 100 for 4 in the 33rd over, and a promising partnership developing between Blackwood 45 and Brooks on 25. This might be a bridge too far for you, Andy, but it seems to me this West Indies side is extremely unusual, a bit of an outlier in the modern game. I think in the past, going back 50 years, teams had lots of right-handers, but then there seem to be more and more left-handers in the game. I just wonder whether this West Indies side, here is Stokes bowling, and Brooks covers up and plays into the onside, and there's no run. You can just brush this away, actually, or duck underneath it. Whether this is actually a very unusual West Indies side to have a preponderance of right-handers that most teams these days have, 3, 4, 5 left-handers in them.
I'm not going to duck underneath it. I'm going to try and hit it over long leg for 6, Simon. Give me a couple of minutes.
Oh, right, okay. That's the spirit.
Long leg.
Yeah. Stokes roaring into bowl, a bouncer. And Brooks ducks underneath it.
Patience the key, isn't it? Patience the key here for England. Things do happen quickly here, but this partnership is irritating for England. Why they didn't review that glove off of Brooks, I don't know. I think he did quite a good job of throwing a dummy there, Brooks, because I just saw Joe Rucco running up past him, and I think he said something to Rucco.
What, go on, review it?
Yeah, go on, and I thought, yeah, go on, and you figure, he threw a really good dummy.
Right.
And I think that just got in Joe Root's head.
Stokes bowls outside the off stump. Brooks lets it go. There was a double connection with that off the glove and arm, so they would have known it hit the arm, and they would have thought, what, did it flick the glove on the way through?
Yeah. So yes, Brooks has sort of said to him, I've done you there because that's just hit my arm or something. You know what I mean? These things do happen.
Yeah.
You shouldn't actually be allowed to talk to the opposition, perhaps, should you? I don't know whether you can.
Not to try to fox them.
Yes, otherwise it would be like, Yeah. Really interesting.
100 for 4. Brooks on 25. Stokes moves in, bowls him outside the off stump. Brooks lets it go.
Sort of like, go on in, I dare you. Go on.
End of the over. So another one ticks by. Stokes 3 overs, no wicket for 8. England took their last wicket in the 15th over, and that was over number 33.
Yeah.
So, but we did say earlier, didn't we? You can put together a partnership, and then something can happen quickly.
Yeah.
You've got to be. You said talk about patience. It is a pitch on which things can happen quickly. You just need the one
to open things. It just looks such a different game, doesn't it? You get one. But at the moment, Brooks and Blackwood are going well.
Yeah, it's one of those pitches that if you have an end open, you know, that sort of like initial 20-minute burst at the end until it gets to about 15-20 is absolutely crucial, because once you do get in a bit, you can still hang around on this kind of pitch, but difficult starting with the odd one sort of keeping low and what have you. Just think he needs to slow it down a bit, Don Bess. He's all a little bit anxious, if you know what I mean. You're bowling it a little bit too quickly. Sometimes just stand a bit taller and throw it up from the hand. A little bit of flight, a little bit of dip.
He will be feeling the final way pressure a bit,
well,
won't he?
This is why you're here,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So it's all well and good sort of saying this, but just slow it down a little bit. Get some bounce from the pitch.
Best bowls. Forward goes Blackwood.
What speed's that? Does the speed come up?
Yeah. It's 55.
55, that's a bit brisk. You want to sort of, 51, 52 and just get it going up from the hand. Create some deception, some flight and some dip.
Best bowls. Blackwood goes back, clips that away. It's a broad, backward square leg.
56 again. That's quick off spinning,
What do you think you bowled at?
I don't know, probably 50, 51, something like that. With the ability then, I just want to see a bit more variation in speed.
Best moves in and bowls to Blackwood. Blackwood is forward, bat in front of the pad. Bess is interested, hands on his head, but played calmly.
So just
mid wicket, and there's no run.
Bit one paced for me.
100 for 4. England being held up by this excellent fifth wicket stand. Best bowls. Blackwood right back into his stumps, playing defensively with soft hands towards short leg. Picked up there by Pope.
It's all very well and good feeling under pressure, but everyone's under pressure.
Yeah, the batsmen were feeling it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
They're battling to win the series. Here's Blackwood coming forward, plays it back to the bowler, and Bess picks up. It's a different sort of pressure for a spinner though. A pace bowler, you can run in and you can bowl short, and you can, do you know what I mean? You can be aggressive. A spinner, it's all about that, the subtleties, and everyone's looking to you as well. There's only one of you, whereas there are 4 pace bowlers. Best bowls, holds that one back a bit, turns, strikes him high up on the pad, drops onto the pitch, and Butler comes behind the stumps to pick up. It is the end of the over. West Indies are 100 for 4. We've had 34 of the 85 overs available, and Brooks and Blackwood playing well, 25 and 45 respectively. More from Tuffers, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
Yeah, they are playing well. They've just halted England's charge with just some good patient batting. They've got themselves in. They haven't just been sort of camped on the back foot, not playing any shots. When the shots have been there, they've decided to put them away, which just keeps you going as a batsman. But England will just be getting a little bit frustrated here, I guess.
Ball's gone soft, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's not quite the same impact on the pitch as there was. 100 for 4. Stokes on his way from the far end, bowls short of a length, and Brooks turns him easily off the hip into the leg side for another run. 101 for 4. The target 312. The over's ticking away. It's 50 to go after this one. And the partnership worth 64. There's Durrich and Holder to come.
They're always going to have a partnership, aren't you? You usually have a partnership somewhere along the lines. They just got to stay patient. But you're right, that does sound soft, that ball.
Yeah. I wonder if Stokes might go into a short-pitched attack as he did in West Indies' first innings. I think at the moment it seems to be.
I don't think he's perhaps moving so well, actually. Looks like he's got a few pebbles in the old boots. A little bit ginger on the sort of feet.
Well, he bowled something like 57 bouncers, didn't he?
Well, there you go. 11 overs of short pitch stuff. It's going to have its toll on you, isn't it?
But I think that's what they're doing. And just as Douglas Jardine did all those years ago, I think Roots clapped his hands
and said, let's have it.
And they're adopting this field now, which is for short pitch bowling. So there's 2 third men, one very fine, 4th slip, deep square leg, fine leg, and Stokes will be bowling bouncers here. And there's the first one. And Blackwood is put on his bottom there to get out of the way. 101 for 4. Is he going to go for it?
That takes it out of you, John.
It takes it out of you, and you're also so restricting your ways of getting a wicket, of course.
I mean, you're almost then trying to get the sort of the beans of the batsman going a bit, and you're saying, right, well, hold on a minute, I don't like ducking and weaving, and as you said, sort of almost sitting on your backside. No, we're having enough of this. I'm going to play the shot, but it's whether Blackwood falls for it.
He's on 45. Here comes Stokes, bowls another bouncer down the leg side, and Blackwood just rakes at the ground with his boot. Root's changing the field. He's bringing up the deep square leg. I mean, if Blackwood's not going to join in and play, then it makes the whole thing a little bit pointless. But in fact, what they're doing, they're bringing Pope to short leg, and Root is now going out to where Pope was, out to deep square leg. So how close is Pope going? He's going on the on the next pitch, as in Friday's pitch, which is changing colour by the hour. It's going paler and paler. 101 for 4. Blackwood on 45. Stokes again looks set to bowl a bouncer. Here he comes. It's short of a length, this one. Blackwood has to play. It rolls out to Woakes at cover. You'd be thinking, if a batsman got out in this situation to this, it's a bit of a soft one, wouldn't you? It'd be a bit of a sucker punch.
Exactly.
Different when you're trying to set a big score and you're batting first and you've got runs on the board and you've got to press on a bit.
Yeah, it's playing with his temperament, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Stokes bowls short, turned away off his hip this time. Broad is there to field. So 211 more runs needed in 64 overs. That's how it looks for the West Indies with 6 wickets in hand. Right, now we were expecting this news, but the ICC has today confirmed that the T20 World Cup in Australia has been postponed. I think we were expecting that. It was October, November. So there's more options. As back goes Blackwood and plays back up the pitch, and is fielded by Pope. 101 for 4, 35 overs gone. Brooks 26, Blackwood 45. So the windows for the next men's events are the T20 World Cup will be held in October, November 21. That's in India, isn't it? That one's. Well, we don't know. Okay, it just windows can be played anywhere, but it was due to be played in India. There's another one in 22, which I suspect is this one that's been postponed now. I think sips into 22. That's going to be on the final then on the 13th of November. Venue TBC. I think part of the world TBC. Really, this is what this is saying. And then the World Cup will be held in India in 2023. And this one, best there, very close to the off stump as Brooks watched that spin back from outside the off stump, almost dislodged a bail there. But Butler was there watching as well. So anyway, the main news there is that the World T20, which was scheduled to be played in October and November in Australia, is not happening, and it's been postponed. It goes Bess. Bowls, that's pushed away. Ball rolls down to a wide slip where Stokes is fielding. 101 for 4, which is a shame. Good tournament that, but
well, it is what it is.
Yeah. Bess strides in and bowls slightly short again, and Brooks can push that away into the offside. So England's winter could be test matches in Sri Lanka in January.
Yeah.
Could be some test matches in India. Bess moves in, tossing. That's flicked away to mid-on, who's quite deep there. Woakes enables them to take a single. 102 for 4. But how many tests and whether they play one day is there remains to be seen. The ICC board will continue to evaluate the situation in relation to being able to stage the Women's World Cup in 21 in New Zealand in February next year. So I'm driven away into the leg side for a single. So in other words, we'll see how things are going for next February, the Women's World Cup in New Zealand. Planning continues as scheduled, but let's have to wait and see. Bess from over the wicket. It's very full, swept hard. Broad slightly missed fields over. It was hit very firmly as it was backward square leg.
It's done well there,
It's very, it spins horribly there when it comes at you. 103 for 4. The target 312. So, you see, the international landscape at the moment is just
It's a bit
very
more,
uncertain.
Yes, it's a bit more Darley than comfortable.
Yes, it is. you like referring to your art knowledge, don't you?
There you go.
I think you are still officially BBC's art correspondent, aren't you?
Well, might be. Might be for the one show.
I think you are. I haven't seen you on there recently. Do you still pop up? Only when there's proper art to be discussed.
That's right.
103 for 4. Stokes going to come round the wicket now to see if he can really wind Blackwood up.
Yeah.
Round the wicket with all this short pitched field placing. He comes in, round the wicket, bowls short, pulled
he's
away
taken
by
it on.
Blackwood, take it on. And he's got it away down to Wokes. That deep square leg for 1 run.
Won't mind seeing that.
Blackwood 47. Well, no, it just encourages more of it, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
that's right. Well, and if they, if the batsmen do play it well, you are just ticking away overs, with you say, with only really one mode of dismissal.
There's a lot to be said for just absolutely ignoring it and just ducking and ducking and ducking it, because they can only do it for so long.
Yeah, and the bowler's going to do it for so long.
Yeah. But if you give them a little bit of a sniff that you're going to join in, then they'll carry on. 104 for 4. This partnership worth 67 now. And there's 208 more runs required by West Indies.
Well, he came in, didn't he, this stage after losing 3 quick wickets at Southampton, didn't he, Blackwood, and did a
Stokes bowls short of a length to a more orthodox field now.
wonderful job.
And Brooks plays into the leg side, so they're not employing the short pitch attack against Brooks. Just for Blackwood, there's a normal 3 slips in place for Brooks.
I think Stewart's going to have how many spells has Stewart got in him? Do you reckon a couple more?
Perhaps 2 more.
Yeah.
48 overs left.
I think Stewart's looked the most threatening, hasn't he?
It's when they need the quick fella, isn't it? Archer or Wood or something like that. 104 for 4. Stokes bowls and that's run away through the gap in the gully. Ball comes down to third man, pursued by Bess. 2 more runs. Or the left arm spinner Tuffers with all the right handers.
Well, yes, we've been discussing that, haven't we, for the next Test match. I think there will be a change. I think that Leach will come in.
Yeah.
And then I suppose Archer slots straight back in, does he, or not?
It was rather him or Wood, won't it?
Yeah, well, yeah, one of those two, one of the quick fellas for perhaps a Curran or something.
Yeah.
I think Wokes has bowled quite well.
He has. Here comes Stokes, and he bowls a very high bouncer indeed, which Brooks easily gets underneath.
Job to be done here first.
Well, there is.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's gone.
Well, I think they don't win this.
Yeah.
But of course, these days you get points for your World Test Championship in every game. So there is something on every game now, even though it's not necessarily the series in hand. But if they don't win this, they sort of try and level it up. Starting on Friday, that game, 106 for 4. Stokes bowls, it's turned away to Broad's right hand at mid-on. Down he goes. It's a long way down for Stuart Broad these days, running to his right. Rolls over a couple of times. 107 for 4. Target 312, and now out they all go again. And Pope pulls on the helmet, goes out to a sort of deep short leg, which doesn't really make a lot of sense, but a short leg would be standing probably 5 yards closer to where he is. They're more for the flick.
Yeah.
Stokes. Presumably this will be short. Up he comes, bowls short of a length. Oh, that's what he's there for. And that was turned away around the corner, one-handed, and it was in the air, nowhere near Pope. But that's what he's there for. The sort of fend off and the flick.
Yeah, Blackwood looks more comfortable when Stokes comes over the wicket, ducking and weaving. When he comes round the wicket, he doesn't look quite so comfy, does he? Coming into that rib cage, wants to sort of throw a hand at it and a bat at it.
Yeah. What's happening? He's got his helmet off now. Blackwood is digging around in there for something. Diamond stud in his right ear.
Yeah, you reckon he's left his wallet in there?
Well, he's looking for something. His car keys or something.
Car keys.
What's he put in there? Whatever it is, he's dug it out.
Yeah.
And he's going to face Bess. 108 for 4. Blackwood's on 48.
Has he tried a bit around the wicket, Bess?
Doesn't look like it.
No, it might just be worth just trying something, because they seem to just be playing him rather comfortably at the moment, these two.
Blackwood waits for Bess, who walks in, bowls over the wicket, tossing it up, and Blackwood drives back at him, and actually Bess has misfielded there. And they're able to steal a single.
See, I don't actually see that tossing it up, you see. I see that just bowling quickly and full.
Yeah.
Tossing it up is going from the hand. That's coming down from the hand.
I get you.
Yeah.
But no, it's keeping going.
I'm not meaning to correct.
Oh, no, you're right, though. And that's driven out towards cover. And that's a lovely... Butler goes and retrieves the ball, rolling out towards point.
Might even be worth just switching short leg to the offside, just to make the batsman slightly play differently.
Yeah.
Always got to be thinking.
There's the next one. Hurries through, short of a length, and Butler fields. 113 for 4. I saw our old friend, the PA announcer.
Oh, yes.
This morning as I was striding round.
Is he in good form?
Very good form.
Yes.
Very good form. He's up. I've asked him, where are you sitting?
Yeah.
Up there in the Red Rose suite, so over on the right, over there. Best bowling. He's hit him straight down the ground. He's timed that magnificently, and I can't see where it's landed, but it's gone for 6. Absolutely straight as you like, over his head.
Good player, this Brooks, a spin.
119 for 4.
It's West Indies' first 6 of the series.
Beautifully struck.
Yeah.
Absolutely straight. The men are up, so tempting him to go for the big shot, and he took it on.
Yeah, it's full again. Yeah, so he's up there, is he?
He's up there.
Cup of tea.
What do you think? That's the Red Rose suite. He's with the press box up there.
We used to commentate from there.
We did. What do you think? What do you think his surroundings are in this unusual layout that we now have?
He brought a good book with him.
In goes Bess. Bowles turned away with a spin and stopped by Pope there, who's ringing his left hand at short leg. The ball cannoning into his hand. 119 for 4. I'll give you a couple of guesses.
Right.
His surroundings there up in the Red Rose suite.
Yeah. Well, a bit sparse, I should imagine.
No, not very sparse. He could certainly sort of make his own entertainment up there, if you like.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he could possibly cook himself something up there.
He's got a little kitchenette up there.
Well, that's one way of looking at it. He's actually sitting up there in a children's creche.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
With a little children's little kitchen area.
Oh, right, a couple of Teletubbies next door to him and
all
stuff.
that sort of stuff. So good luck in there. It's lovely to see him.
A couple of blow-up unicorns.
And why there's a creche there, I don't know. Perhaps the players' children come and play up there or something. But anyway, that's where, when the announcements are delivered,
yes,
it's amongst those nice bouncy things that you
well,
blew up and jump up and down on.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's very, very nice.
Yeah, bouncy castle.
Yeah. That's your castle up there.
Right.
Did you sort of ask him?
Well, I didn't get any details. He's a little dismissively, well, I'm in a crash. Stokes round the wicket, bowls a bouncer. And but ducks underneath that. Blackwood goes for a walk.
Did you ask him sort of, is it a bit soul destroying, sort of delivering the...
I didn't like to say, it must be, bit sad, delivering your announcements to absolutely nobody, but I thought that'd be a bit cruel, actually.
Yes, well,
So we exchanged pleasantries, always nice to see him around, and off he went to the crash. So some nice books for him to read up there, I think.
Janet and John.
Yeah. Postman Pat.
Yes.
Stokes round the wicket, bowls short. Almost carried to short leg.
And you said he felt he was a bit
Little
deep
bit
there. Another yard or two forward, that would have gone straight into his hands.
Yeah. If he'd just been, literally 2 yards.
Yeah.
Well, Stokes is certainly causing some discomfort coming round the wicket. It's up under his armpit.
Yeah.
Let's try find a way.
Yeah.
Root has come up to backward square leg, so his arms folded, looking around the field.
They're doing it well here, the West Indies.
Huge gap through the offside. Stokes comes in, bowls to him, and again he fends that away very awkwardly.
Oh, that could have gone anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't like that. Doesn't like it. And he's peeling his glove off now, Black, as if he wants to have a look to see if
Yeah, thumped right into
that's
him.
injured him at all.
Oh, yeah, bottom hand as well.
Nasty.
Yeah, bottom hands. Luckily got it off the bat because it can squeeze it, can't it?
Pope is saying, look, to Joe Root, I think I should be a bit closer
Yeah,
here,
it's a
skipper.
good shout.
And I think he's moving in a little bit.
Yeah.
There he goes. But he's still quite deep, but crouching now, hands on knees. Stokes fired up, comes in round the wicket, bowls short and is fended outside the off stump this time, and he's cross because he was lured into playing that, and he knows he shouldn't have done. Should just sort of let that go.
Yeah, it's starting to wear him down a bit, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is starting to wear him down.
It's just whether Stokes can keep it going because he must have been absolutely knackered.
Well, he's got an experienced colleague at the other end who actually is now coming down to talk to him. He hasn't played many tests, but he's played an awful lot of first-class cricket. Has Brooks. I think he's coming down to talk to Black. So come on,
It's
keep your cool here.
It's tea.
I think it's at 5-2, 5-4. Stokes sweeps back his hat. 2 balls remain in the over. In he comes and bowls another bouncer, and that perfectly easily negotiated by Blackwood, ducking underneath it. We were talking earlier about Rakeem Cornwall playing at Thames Ditton, where apparently he sank a yard of ale in record time.
Oh, yes, good. I like the Art of Ale challenge.
Christopher Dixon emails, as impressive as his yard of ale drinking ability undoubtedly was, he also impressed on the pitch. In 11 games, he scored 495 runs at an average of 49.5 and took 19 wickets at an average of 12.
Yeah.
Stokes round the wicket, bowls another bouncer. And, Blackwood's easily underneath that. It ends the over. 15 minutes to go until tea. I'm chatting to Alistair Cook during tea about him going back to Essex and what he's going to do and that sort of a thing. Until then, Tuffers, if you could just have a quick chat, and then Alison's coming in here.
Well, I think he's got a very good chance of playing Rakeem Cornwall in the next Test match. I think there might be a few changes for both sides. Andy, a munchy stat.
Well, in fact, while Simon Mann was on, he asked about how often England face an opposition with 10 or more right-handers. This is only the 9th time in their last 160 Test matches, going back to August 2007, that England have faced 10 or more right-handers. And to illustrate the increasing prevalence of left-handers in recent Test cricket, in England's Test history before that, in about a third of their games that had happened. Ali's just getting ready. Don Best comes in now and bowls short. Brooks steps back and punches behind square on the offside for a single in that wristily elegant way of his, as Ali Mitchell is attempting to solve a fiendish puzzle of tangled wires.
I know. Good luck, Ellie. Oh, well.
Doesn't happen on the telly, does it, Ali? You've got 25 people doing it for you. And
you might have to go for a double emergency stat.
Bess is coming in once, only pulls out of this delivery, perhaps and then a heroic attempt to give Ali Mitchell a little more time to get into position to commentate this ball. Do I get paid for this?
Thank you, Andy. Thank you very much for that. Well commentated. I'm settled and Bess is in, and it's leading off the pad. Bess is interested, but the umpire isn't. Blackwood on 49, 120 for 4. And Bess wipes some sweat from his brow, walks back to the end of his mark. I did get in a tangle then, Tuffers.
You did.
Gladly sat down now.
We need a better way of storing our headphones, don't we? Because all those tails, I think they're called tails, aren't they? Leads, whatever, yes. They all get a bit tangled.
Bess in again, forward comes Blackwood, defends. Bess stops it with his foot. There was a big inside edge onto pad then. Tell you what it was like, because I don't know how much jewellery you keep, Tuffers, but any female who has a lot of necklaces will know that often you open your jewellery box and all your necklaces are tangled, and it takes an awful age to try and get all the chains untangled. It was exactly like that. Bess in, going back Blackwood, working it up into down towards long on, taking a single, and that brings up his 50. So Blackwood, 12th Test 50, a slight raise of the bat towards the dressing room and the balcony. But this is an excellent partnership between these two, more importantly. But Blackwood recovering well from his duck in the first innings.
Yes, I've always wondered that. it's the same with my wife. You know, I mean, put them back absolutely beautifully, and then there's like a little fairy goes in there and messes them all up.
Completely agree. Bess goes in, little flick of the wrist again, working it down towards long on for one.
Yeah.
We've got a little fairy here as well.
Yes, he's just come and sorted all our leads out. Well done.
Nice and neat. So there was a microphone tree on day one, but actually the microphones had to be moved from the tree to a different position because they were also going to be a bit tangled as Bess is in airily, but then straight to Burns.
Strange
Middle
how
wicket.
that happens.
It's the end of the over. 122 for 4. Blackwood on 50. Brooks on 42.
A bit like my sock drawer.
Does that get muddled up as well, does
Yeah,
it?
it just gets muddled up. I don't know how.
The sock fairy.
And I'm sure that you put 2 in, you know, and you sort of fold them over just to keep them together, and you come back and there's only one there. I don't know what happens.
Do you organise your socks? Are they sort of colour coordinated in any way?
No.
In the style?
No, not really. I haven't got
Definitely
a
not one of those people that opens a drawer and you've got your socks lined up there and then
No.
your T-shirts all beautifully folded.
No, numbered. And day, Monday,
A
Tuesday.
Monday sock,
yes,
a Tuesday
yeah,
sock. You've got your purple ones on today.
No, I have indeed. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
a strong sock. keeps me happy. Keeps me happy. Always puts a smile on my face.
Blackwood's half century came from 81 balls. He's hit 7 fours. It's his 13th 50-plus score in Test cricket. He has 1 century against England back in 2015. His second half century of the series, both in the 4th innings.
Yeah, indeed. Huge value on his 95 in Southampton. Stokes bowling short leg slip as well. In he goes now, backing away, shaping to try and pull him over square leg, and then pulling out of the shot. Brooks. Stokes has followed through and given him a bit of a glare then. He's looking fired up.
When do England start getting a little bit panicky? About now.
Well, 44 overs left after this one.
6 wickets as well.
Still 6 wickets to get. I mean, obviously the West, what the rate of scoring has been, 4 and a bit and over. Thing is, if West Indies do start to get to a point where they feel we could actually be in sight, and if Blackwood is still there,
Yeah.
things could get very interesting. Stokes in, ducking underneath it. I don't think it got up as much as Brooks initially expected. He really had to get down low, right down on that knee pad to get out of the way.
And you just got the feeling that when Brooks gloved that one to the keeper and they didn't review it, that they almost sort of took a bit of heart from that, you know what I mean? England were on the charge there, weren't they? Stumps were flying, things keeping low and what have you. And then I think they've just taken a bit of heart from that and said, right, now come on, this is us. Let's really dig in. And they're doing it well.
Runs required, 190. Stokes around the wicket, fended away well, controlled into the ground. Burns is there at gully.
Yeah, I think that's a step too far. Because you're going to lose a couple of wickets doing that unless these two get 100, and 100 and something. But they really have come together.
It's a partnership of 85 so
they've done
far.
so well. They've done so well. They've just halted England, and you can just tell a bit of a shift. You see the old skipper hands in his pockets, and people going, "Hold on, this might be slipping away from us a little bit."
And still back the England camp at this stage. I think Stokes is in again around the wicket, ducking, letting the ball pass over his back. Because all it does take, I can say this, is break this one partnership. Now, you have got Dowrich and Holder still to come, both very good batsmen. But then England have had the knack of running through. But what they don't want to happen is, it was 85 overs in the innings, so there's always going to be the prospect of 5 with the new ball if England needed it. And what they don't want is for the West Indies to still have 5 wickets in hand, 5 overs, or even 4 wickets in hand. You just want that to really be the last 2 if you're getting down to that stage. Stokes in again, bangs it in from around the wicket, and left well alone by Brooks.
I think Stuart Broad's spell is going to be key, isn't it? He's probably got a couple of spells in him, one after tea and then one, with that new ball if required. And he's looked the most likely for me.
They really want somebody else to chip in, whether it is Stokes or Bess, covering to get a couple of breakthroughs before then. So if anything, if it's Broad with the new ball, as I said, with 5 overs left in the day,
but
you want that to be the final charge.
But he's got to get England in the position to use that new ball.
Stokes in again, turned away past short leg. In control of the shot as Brooks coming back for a second. Throw comes into Butler. In fact, it's gathered in front of the stumps by Pope. 124 for 4 then.
Can I just, finish that stat that I was interrupted by your wire untangling? So England have back to the stat that Simon Mann commissioned about half an hour ago now. There's only the 9th game. Southampton was the 8th in England's last 160 tests since 2007. They faced 10 or more right-handers. Previously, that had happened in about a third of their games. So it does show there have been more left-handers in Test cricket recently. In the 2010 decade, 30% of all Test players were left-handed. In the 2000s it was 25%, in the 1990s it was 20%, in the 1980s it was 17%. So there's been an increase in left-handed batting in Test cricket.
Was this in the context of the conversation as to whether Leach gets brought in for the
Yes,
Test
well,
match here?
I think it's a certainty.
In comes Bess, over the wicket full once more, and draws Blackwood forward, and he defends it solidly again.
Yeah, I think it's a certainty. I think Raheem Cornwall
For the West Indies.
will come in for the West Indies.
Seen him in action quite a bit, haven't we? Doing some one-on-one netting and training, and
Because this is a
Then his
turning
arm
bouncing
over.
pitch, you know. This is a
and
bounce.
he bowls from a good height, doesn't he?
Very much so.
Blackwood's just moving a little bit of loose dirt away. Bless you, Tuffers.
Excuse me.
Settling over his bat now. 50 not out of 83 balls. Bess in, coming forward, taking a single to long on. And Wokes is there to move in off the boundary. Pick up. Loopy throw back into Dom Bess. Well, the burst of wickets came when Broad had the ball in his hand. Struck with the 5th ball of the innings to remove John Campbell. A review that was left late by Root, but it was a catch behind to Butler. Bess in again. Defence coming forward. There's just not, there has been that around the wicket bowling, but there's not really any footmarks.
Doesn't matter.
Quite the spot where Bess wants to bowl into.
Doesn't matter. Should be turning it and spinning it on this and bouncing it. If you bowl it too full, how can you get bounced?
Yeah. We haven't really seen the loop in the delivery, the flights. Whip of the wrist this time, past mid-wicket. Quick single taken. Looking lively, coming back for the second. Throw comes back into Bess, and they're making a comfortable 2 and keeping things ticking over very smartly at the moment with little peril out there. 127 for 4. Partnership is now worth 90. Slipping short leg. Bess with a furrowed brow in. Here's a lofted shot, holding the pose down the ground. Over the head for 6. Not much that Wokes could do about that. He tried to leap from the ground and raised his arms in an attempt to see whether there was a catch on offer, but there wasn't. And that was a really wonderful stroke. It's clear the boundary back down the ground, and that is taking the attack to the spinner.
Beautiful shot. It's a straight path of the bat swing. Middled it, and it was always going to be 6.
And crashing into the tarpaulin.
Brooks's half century just came up from his 95th ball, 2 6s and 3 4s. It's his 4th in Test cricket. Second of this game. He has 100 amongst those 4. That was against Afghanistan. 52
not out. What a stylish way to bring up your 50.
Lovely.
Bess in again now, and he goes back and covers up and defends solidly. That's that ability to move from defence into spectacular attack, but they've got the measure of the England bowling.
They have
133
indeed.
for 4.
They have indeed, and it wasn't even spectacular. Well, it was a great shot, but I mean, there wasn't sort of an element of risk about it. You know, he didn't have to use his feet, didn't have to sort of negotiate turn or bounce. It was just like a good stride to the ball, straight through. Didn't have to hit it too hard. Just made sure he get the middle of the bat on it. Beautiful shot to get you 50. Yeah.
Well, we are 5 minutes away, a little under 4 minutes away from tea. Stokes is going to be bowling. England have only taken 1 wicket all session. So the early burst in the morning session, which was a dramatic session, what with Stokes going berserk with the bat to begin with to set up the declaration, which came with England 129 for 3, setting West Indies' target of 312. And then Broad and Wokes sharing 3 wickets between them. Since then, these two have done brilliantly together. Forcing this away, is up on his toes. Blackwood a forcing shot, and Stokes from his follow through is setting off back towards the pavilion. I don't think even Stokes will catch up, or will he? Oh, I have to say, that is a brilliant effort from Stokes. He's slid in. Did he actually save the boundary or not? I have to go and have another look. But I've never seen a bowler turn from his follow through, sprinting all the way back to the boundary, because he knew there was no fielder back.
Yeah. He
has saved the boundary.
He really is doing everything for the team here. Diving as well. Got the dive in. Might have just gone for 4. They're having a look. You're right, the runs now are coming a little bit too freely as well. I think tea might just come in England's favour here.
Yep.
Regroup, think of some plans, and go again. Because what's the target? How many do they need now?
They need another 176. Well, was that signal for 175?
Oh, well, they're not getting that in the session.
Blackwood on 55 now. Stokes around the wicket again. Defends it into the pitch. He's up on his toes, back of a length from Stokes.
4.2 and over to win the match from here. But yeah, but England would then just put fielders all around. Listen, England should be looking to win this Test match. It's as simple as that. West Indies have played really, really well, and a great partnership has developed. But
It's now worth 100.
yeah, but they're not getting the runs. Famous last words.
Just remember that at 15:53 p.m,
Yeah.
3:53, bouncer from Stokes, and Blackwood is ducking underneath it. Well, just watching Stokes chase back from the boundary. Then I mean, what else could he do all in one delivery? I mean, it's a little bit of an ask, isn't it, with the speed he bowls, to ask him to deliver a ball and run round and
Well, he could have run back.
take the gloves from Butler and sort of be keeper as well.
Yes, well,
and then-
that's right. But like Speedy Gonzalez, he actually then bowls the delivery, he nicks it, and then runs round, puts the gloves on and catches
Catches
it.
it.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, have some of that.
Ah,
Yeah,
he does do everything, doesn't he?
he does. He's a full-on cricketer, this boy.
Desperately need a breakthrough here, though. England need to break the partnership.
Oh,
Gloved
that's
in the
it.
air.
Oh!
Butler's taking a brilliant diving catch.
And there it is.
That is Stokes the man when England desperately needed it. The ball back of a length, fended away. It's ballooned up behind the batsman. Butler did have to tear off to his left and took it diving just above the turf. Stokes the man. Blackwood gone for 55. 137 for 5, and that's tea.
Yeah, just what England needed. They were looking flat. They were thinking that this partnership might get West Indies to safety, but then again, that man, Ben Stokes, he was looking uncomfortable from round the wicket. I must admit, Blackwood, he sort of wanted to throw his hands at it and didn't feel comfortable ducking or swaying, and then gets his rewards. Josh Butler made good ground there to get the grab. Blackwood goes for 55, and that could just be the lift that England needed going in a tea.
Yep, absolutely. 5 down. They come out to the last session. They've got a new batsman.
Yeah.
5 wickets needed. There is the possibility of 5 overs with the new ball if they
Yeah.
get to that stage, but that has just, again, altered the complexion once more.
It has. There would have been a few sort of like sorry faces in that tea room if this hadn't gone to hand to Josh Butler, but now it will be like pats on the back and saying, come on boys, let's get out here and really give it a good go after tea. Great bit of bowling again. The lion-hearted Ben Stokes. I mean, it's tough to keep running in bowling that stuff, and he's got his reward. Well done.
Fine effort. England trudging up the stairs, but with a lighter spring in their step than they would have had if the West Indies were going in 4 down with an unbroken 100 partnership in place. Shamar Brooks is still there, unbeaten on 52, but 137 for 5 then. A session where England had to really work hard to get the second of the 2 wickets that fell. So that's where things stand at the moment then. So,
Yeah, good effort.
yeah. How many overs left in the evening session then, Andy? The equation.
42 overs and 2 balls, so just 1 ball past halfway.
Yeah. 312 is the target, but now it really is about getting England getting these wickets. And when the West Indies, if
Yeah.
they do see it through, it really be a matter of utter survival, you feel now. They've got Dowrich, Jason Holder to come, and then you're into the
Yeah,
table.
you're kind of thinking that England need another couple of wickets, and then it might be game over. But I've been very impressed with those 2 West Indian batsmen. As you say, they came out when they were rocking again and really did get in the way of England's progress. Such a shame just before tea. Just getting a little bit of a glove on it. Why didn't you duck it? That's what was going through his mind. But yeah, well bowled Ben Stokes.
Yeah, persistence. So 1 wicket to Stokes, 3 for Broad, and 1 for Chris Wokes as well. I've just been watching Aggers. He has managed to, well, he hasn't had any trouble now with the tangle of necklaces because they've all been beautifully straightened out and untangled. Tuffers, no, just a few more thoughts from you on the match situation. I guess how England will bowl as after the tea break to continue to burst through this West Indies lineup. And then Aggers is coming in to talk you through tea.
Well, I'm pretty sure Stuart Broad might be given a go. Ben Stokes has put a lot of effort in there. I think he might have a bit of a blow, and I can imagine it would be Stokes and Wokes starting up after. I'm sorry, Broad and Wokes after tea. just to try and get these remaining West Indians wickets. Agus.
Well, I mean, Ben Stokes is extraordinary, isn't he? He probably went round the wicket for maybe 4 of those 8 overs that he's bowled. And Blackett will be furious, I suspect, at having fallen for that. But under that armpit and round the wicket, he never really looked very comfortable. So England need 5 more wickets, and we're here in the tea break looking for something that tells me how overs there are to go. But we'll get there in a second. 43, I think. So there's still plenty of time left for England to get these last remaining 5 wickets. They'll be underway again in about 15 minutes from now. So, well, we've enjoyed your company, Cookie.
Have you?
Yeah, really have, honestly. Yeah, I really have. It's been really good to have you with us, and we thought that you were going to be with us rather longer, because we weren't sure about county cricket and so on. But this is it. You're off to go and back into the nets.
I am. Sorry. I am going back tomorrow. We didn't know there was going to be any red ball cricket, so there's a possibility that I could have done a couple more of these test matches. But back with Essex tomorrow. I have been with them in between these 2 games and a bit before. So we're looking forward to playing after watching.
You are. I mean, it's interesting that, isn't it? Because you have now almost fully committed to coming to our side of the fence, and then you're going back onto the other. That Wilking, is it quite strange, wouldn't it? Why not? To be a player again.
Not really. It'd just be nice to get out there actually with the guys. Really, it's been such a strange, for everyone I know, but such a strange 6 months for cricket, and it would just be nice to see the guys. And the reason I'm playing is that I get on quite well with them. I enjoy the company, and we are trying to win stuff. And it's, so obviously last year was a really good year for Essex, and we'd like to have built on it this year. It's going to be very different. But
yeah. So that was the last time you held a bat then, back in September.
Well, that was until. But then I started in February.
Yes.
And then we went to pre-season tour, and then that got cancelled in Abu Dhabi when we were there, and then didn't pick up a bat from middle of March till about 3 weeks ago.
Right. Is there any part of you that looks and thinks, I could have, if I'd finished then, I mean, won the championship and so on, that would have been a great way to wrap the whole thing up. But is something still driving you to go and play? Yeah,
it's hard to explain, really. There's just such a good connection at the club. I enjoy it when I turn up there. It's good fun. It's surrounded by good people, and that's so important. Anthony McGrath, Ryan Tenderscott, Tom Wesley, people I've spent quite a lot of time with and played a lot of cricket with. Certainly those 2 other guys, Nick Brown, and it's just a nice environment to be around, really. So why shouldn't I carry on?
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, why should you? I guess. What goals have you got? I guess that's the question, is it? Or do you not necessarily bother about goals and targets? And
well, the goals was to win something. That was what after I finished in 2018 with England, was to go back to Essex and try and win something. So we've won one. Over the next couple of years, we'll try and win another.
Yeah. And do you think you will carry on that much longer? Because you're doing a full season of championship cricket.
Well, I was planning to do a full season this year. Yeah, I've always it's been very open communication with Essex, as in as soon as I stop enjoying it, I really, really don't want to do it. It's different getting your car, going off to play, and you think, why am I doing this? There's other things I'd rather be doing. Then I'll stop. But I didn't have it last year. It took a little bit of time to get into it, and get the pace of county cricket again. And it's quite unrelenting. You're kind of here, there, and everywhere. Play a lot of cricket, but because I don't play T20, there's periods of time where I get a bit of time off. But we spoke. We keep our.
Here we go.
Give it to them.
The Premier League. Later today, it's a double bill. From 6, it's Sheffield United versus Everton. And with an 8:15 kickoff, Wolves host Crystal Palace.
This is your football station.
This is 5 Live.
Oh, sorry about that. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it sounds as if we fell off air, as they say in technical terms. That's why he suddenly got the burst of music and so on. So I'm very sorry about that. I'm not sure. We were totally and blissfully unaware of what happened there, but we're just chatting away to Alistair Cook about him carrying on and why he's carrying on and so on. Would you change your mind at all if suddenly you saw a young player at Essex and you thought, he should be playing, really? He's got a career ahead of him, a future ahead of him. And it's time that he stepped up and got the chance.
Yeah, if there's players you think who are better than me and could deliver more at or the similar level, but until I'm not delivering for the team, or then if I have an absolute stinker for a while, then that would obviously push the decision on. But last year I scored my fair share of runs in tough conditions and felt as if I contributed a bit to the title. So as long as that's happening, I don't see if that young kid's better than me, then he plays, doesn't it? And that's what it should be, really, shouldn't it?
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because lots of people they stop playing international cricket, and that's it, and they just can't lift themselves to go out there and play county cricket.
I mean, I said this quite a number of times actually. Cricket's such a massive part of your life, such a time-consuming game to play in a 5-day game, and also the training you have with it and everything which goes with it. Then to suddenly just stop totally there at the over, walking off. That's a big life adjustment. That's a big life adjustment for everyone in terms of back home and for me. So actually, this kind of tapering off a little bit, like preparing yourself to do what's going to happen for the next 34 years. Because to be honest with you, I had no idea. All I ever concentrated on, I was rubbish at those. Those PCA things. He said you've got to start planning for the future.
Yes.
You've got to do this, and I shouldn't be, but I just switched off. I was like, I'm just going to put all my effort, all my energy into continuing playing for England as long as I can and delivering my skills and all that kind of stuff. Rather than I'll worry about that when I get to it.
Yeah, interesting. Let's check out tea here. If you're just tuning our way, it's an excellent finish, building up as we thought. 137 for 5 is the West Indies. So they've got about 42 overs, England, to get those last 5 wickets. The target for the West Indies is 312. So we're just chatting here with Cookie, who's going to leave us after this match to go back and get to put his pads on, his whites and everything else, and go back to life on the road. But it'll be odd, won't it? I mean, have you got any idea really about the fixtures and the structure and so on that you are going to be returning to, and how it's going to work?
Well, I think the fixtures are coming out this week, aren't they? I think we've been promised
It's
that so
about
many
time.
times. So it's only 10 days before the season. No, there's just obviously Red Bull cricket and T20, and I think it's all the Red Bull stuff first and then the T20 stuff. Although there is a rumour of the final of the 4 days is the 1st to the 5th of August. October.
That seems
it's a little bit strange.
That seems incredible.
I know that does.
Especially playing Championship cricket then, and of course it's called the Bob Willis Trophy, isn't it? I mean, you did his impersonation and all, the Mickey taking his side for you when you got your wicket and so on. But was he someone who you were very attached to? Were you close to Bob?
I didn't know Bob that well. Obviously, it doesn't matter how much cricket I passed, this never seemed to cross. We got him into the setup a couple of times actually, and he went for dinner with the fast bowlers.
Yes, that's right.
With Stuart and Jimmy and Ben Stokes, and just seen they saw a different side. I didn't know Bob that well at all actually, so. But it's a great fitting tribute for him.
Yes.
That there is this, and you wonder whether the county championship could change his name forever, maybe.
Yeah. Was that your idea? Because I mean, Bob could be quite savage on people's performances and so on. So I can imagine that those bowlers that you're talking about thought, really? The last time I turned the telly on, Bob was giving me a very hard time.
Well, I think when he became the guy on the verdict, where he was unrelenting all the time, then you start doing a little bit of digging, weren't you? And then you realise it was just an act.
Yeah, a job
and an act. He acted that role, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He acted that role. And actually, when you then listen to people like yourself and David Lloyd and people who have spent a lot of time, and then obviously Nasser, I know Nasser very well, and he's a great person to be around, and he passionately cared about English cricket. And we end up having a theme of getting old legends into the dressing room, try and break the barriers down between the media and the players. And actually over the last, I think, 4 or 5 years, the relationship between the media and the players is as good as I can remember it anyway.
I like what Joe Root is doing also. Well, perhaps you started it, I don't know, but certainly I've only been... It's happened to me while Joe has been captain. Was on a tour in particular, they do have an England night, raise money for charity. We could pay to go in, and there's pizzas and a couple of beers or something. It's not during a game, it's in a period between. But actually, they invite all the former England players who are on the tour to go along. And I think it's quite eye-opening for some of the younger players, actually, who think, really, that bloke played for England. And just for a little while, when you're an old wrinkly like me, just for a little while, you're a player again. Yeah. It's a lovely feeling. Then it's good for the young players because they realise actually that, yeah, that spotlight's there and enjoy it. It's shining on you, but it's not long before you're a bald, overweight, slightly stooped old fast bowler, and enjoy it while you can, but also make the most of it while you can.
Yeah, no, that was nothing to do with me. I didn't know. I knew they did England night, so I didn't know what.
Yeah,
they're there. Well, it's a great idea, isn't it? It's a great idea because actually a lot of certainly now sitting on this side of the fence, we all want England to win, but obviously we still have to comment on the game and.
Yep.
And if you see a bad shot, or you see bad, things which have to be told to the listener. Otherwise, we're not doing our jobs properly. But there's such a better understanding now of the players, and I think social media has. Well, these guys have been, born and bred pretty much with social media. Ollie Pope had an Instagram account at 11 probably, and Twitter at 12, and understands how it works, and it is keyboard warriors really. They're just and when it first came out, I think it took us, slightly older generation of players, that took us hard to manage. So we, like Andy Flower and Andy Strauss's method, we'll create our own. I'm talking about bubbles. Create our bubble. Nothing's going to penetrate this bubble. We're going to go about our business, concentrate on only us. You can say what you want about us, and we'll just get on with it. And it worked. It worked. In one sense, we became a very, very successful side. That relationship was quite a fractious then relationship with the media. You probably won't get as much access as you would like, and we were very stone-walled, very short answers. And when we started losing, it wasn't great. And actually, and now with the access to everyone gets with players on social media stuff, sides have to be more open. Yes. And I think it's for the better. The
relationship certainly is easier when England are winning. There's no doubt about that.
But I think we. Almost the first tour I went on in that game when they lost. I turned up after they'd lost their first Test match.
Yes.
In West Indies, and yes, Joe Root he's under pressure when you're interviewing, but I thought he did a really nice interview after the second Test match with him. People understand it a lot better, I think, now than they used to do.
Yeah. And how have you found this side then? So you've almost made the full journey, and a few ducks at Essex might convince you to come back again. but how have you, is this the way that you always assumed that it worked when you were going back to your room and watching the highlights or whatever? Now you're doing the highlights yourself. Is it as you imagined it would be?
Yeah, apart from the few technical challenges of actually doing a production and there's a real skill to being a good broadcaster, and I don't think I wouldn't even have thought about it when I played, and actually now I start listening to other commentating and other sports as well, just actually really listening to what they're saying and how they're saying it. But in the past I would have just not paid much attention to it, so that's kind of where I suppose my head is at, just starting to learn, because it's a different skill, isn't it? Just because you're a good player doesn't mean you get your point across well, and it does take a while to get good at it. So, and that's why and it's quite unrelenting in play. You like Twitter now could go mad saying he's a terrible commentator. Well, I've only done 4 games. You are going to get better and better. Yes. Might one day be better than you.
I think you've got every chance. But tell us a bit about Dan Lawrence, because he's getting some rave reviews around about, isn't he? And you'll see. You already have seen a fair amount of him. I suppose he'll be locked away in this bubble, and that'll be it. So he won't be playing Championship cricket. But is that a bit of a shame? Does he need to get playing and batting?
I was going to say he'll be desperately. He's not frustrated. He's not out there, but just desperate to play some cricket. You can only net so many times.
Well, someone like him, this is actually very tough, isn't it? Because he might not play all summer, I suppose, if he stays in this bubble.
It'd be really interesting to see what they do actually with him. because he's only going to play. There's an injury, or you don't quite know how England are thinking about Dan Lawrence. And actually, he would have had a brilliant 6 weeks with these guys in terms of, eyes would have been open in terms of the level of intensity in training, which is very different to county cricket. You play pretty much every day. The training is just, you don't have that time to work on your game very often. You're in the car, you're playing, you're in the car, you're playing. Well, these guys get to really prepare for every single game. The intensity of training, you're training with some really good players, facing Stuart Broad in the nets and, all that kind of stuff. His game and his development would have gone through the roof in 6 weeks. But there's got to be a time where he's got to go out, and then he's now got to go and score actually play some cricket and put that into practice. But he's a really, really good player. He's one of those modern, I'd say, techniques with a very strong bottom hand grip, and a little bit like Zach Crawley in terms of his grip. But he scored 100, and I'll always go back to this. When Essex won the league in 2017, we just got promoted. And he got 140 odd to save the game against Lancashire, and Essex had been dominated the whole game, and he batted the whole last day against James Anderson, against a good Lancashire attack. I think he was 18 at the time,
right?
And you don't do that unless you've got something a lot about it. So he got it upstairs. He's been part of a very successful Essex side that have won some stuff, which is a great thing. Played on tough wickets, so his stats, I think he averaged just less than 40. But that's on tough wickets, but he's delivered, some really match-winning performances in there. So he's mentally, he's a bit like a Sam Curran, loves the game situation, that kind of fighter and stuff. So he's got potential. Obviously, need a little bit of luck to when you play at the right time and all that stuff. But he's a huge amount of potential and got some experience. He's his 71st class games already. I think he's played, and he's young.
Well, thank you, Cookie, and good luck to you. I hope you have a good season.
Thank you. Do you really mean that?
Not too many nipping around outside that off stump or nipping back into the pad, all that sort of stuff. So have a good summer. Thanks for your company these last couple of test matches or so. There we go. Who knows? He might be back anyway, Cookie, before the season ends. But out we go outside. I think the floodlights were coming on very shortly. It's that very borderline light, and England need 5 more wickets to level the series. And to set up a very different test match starting here on Friday as a series decider. And Ben Stokes on the stroke of tee again produced a stroke of brilliance, a brutal ball up into the armpit, and Blackwood fended it away, and Butler moved to his left. That's not the best of games, Joss Butler, and especially catching down the leg side actually, but this was a more loopy catch, and he showed all his athleticism there in moving 5-6 yards to his left and then taking a catch in a full dive. So that is why they're 5 wickets down. Now Dowrich is the new batsman, and again Stokes is continuing round the wicket to him. Up he comes and bowls, and has fended it away off his shoulder down to backward square leg, and there is no run. So again, even with the new batsman having just come in, they're going into the short aggressive mode, which is interesting. Maybe with the new batsman, actually, perhaps you just start things off as normal, line length, and try and get him out in the normal circumstances. But they reckon that they're going to remove Dowrich by these means as well. And Stokes, the last ball of the over, comes in and bowls to him. And again, he jumps up and gets well behind this. And the ball runs away into the offside to complete that over. 43 have gone. The target's 312 for West Indies. And England need 5 more wickets. Brooks has 52 up at the other end. And an anxious-looking Carlos Brathwaite has slipped into the chair beside me. How are you doing?
Good. Really enjoyed our session. Yeah, really enjoyed our session, man. Control, stayed positive. Brooks flirting with a little bit of danger there, taking on long on. But really enjoyed it. It's a shame that Blackwood lost his wicket just before tea. Could have set up an even more interesting final session.
Will he be cross the way he got out?
Nah.
Under the armpit.
Yeah, it was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It wasn't a reckless shot. Could he have played it better? Yes, he could. But, I mean, Stokes makes things happen. He put the ball in areas and set fields that supported the way he wanted the ball, and he got just reward. So, I mean, at times, we always say the batsman should have done something different, and obviously if they did, they wouldn't have lost the wicket. But you got to give the bowler and the captain and the plan credit sometimes.
137 for 5, and Chris Wokes He's going to bowl from our end of the ground. He's bowled 11 overs so far and taken 1 for 26. He's bowling 2 Brooks. There's 2 slips there. And Wokes is on his way, and he bowls just short of a length, and Brooks works into the leg side. They're going for a quick single. And that'll bring Durrich down on strike. What do you think about doing that short pitch to someone who literally has just come in? Because there was so few options of ways of getting somebody out that way.
But if you think about how Durrich played the short ball very unconvincingly in Southampton, you saw how he looked when he came out in the first innings.
Go for it.
That will be a tactic.
Yeah.
And they probably aren't looking to get him out with the short ball from Stokes' end. But if he's afraid of it or not playing it well, feet tangled, Wokes might be the benefactor.
Wokes on his way, moves in, bowls to Durrich, who's hit on the pad, appeals leg before wicket is out. I suspect he'll almost certainly review this, but he shuffled a long way across, and the finger went up, and he's going to review it inevitably.
Okay.
So let's see if Chris Wokes has broken through almost immediately after tea.
The original decision is out. If I could see the front foot first, please.
Question of leg stump for me, from the angle that we had.
Thank you. Fair delivery. We could move on to front on spin vision, please.
Pretty sure he didn't edge it, but we'll check. Let's have a look at where this is going.
Okay, it doesn't look like any bat involved, but can we just confirm that with Ultra Edge, please? Okay, keep it running through.
What do you think, Carlos?
Clearly no bat involved. We'll go to ball tracking when
Same
ready,
thing
please.
I said.
I think it might be umpire's call round about that leg stump, but we'll see. Impact in line, umpire's call, leg stump. There you go. So it wasn't plumb by any means.
Umpire's call.
I think he made it look
Go
worse
back to Mike on field. Stay with your original decision. You're on camera now.
by going so far across, but it's umpire's call for leg stump. And so Chris Wokes has taken his 100th Test wicket. He's got a big smile on his face, rather larger than Durrich, who's walking off past him now. LBW without scoring, and that surely puts England now, with the captain coming out at number 8. It does put them on course to win this game. Still got to be done. And Holder, of course, is a very accomplished batsman.
Yeah, it's just disappointing to see Durrich get out the same way again. The short ball has been used so that he'll be jumping around the crease. He got caught in front middle stump. Obviously, it was hitting just outside. But when you look at the replay, you can see leg stump. And it just looks as though you're scared. You just need to front up, get forward. Really and truly should be in line with our ball. Probably tucking that way down to fine leg. Getting your feet moving and getting into your innings. Instead, you're jumping around the crease. You're being hit in front of the stump. And it looked plumb. Umpire's call really and truly makes it look a lot better than it really was. But again, both feet on the crease, closer to off stump. You could almost see leg stump. And it just doesn't look comfortable. He'll be getting a lot of short balls from now on, from very first ball.
I think you're right, he will. But he'll consider himself a bit unlucky with that, because the computer had the ball literally just shaving the leg stump. So 100th wicket for Chris Wokes, who's now got Jason Holder in his sights. Off he goes and bowls to him, and the West Indies captain leans forward. And the ball runs down to gully. And there's no run. So a nice start for Wokes to get a wicket so early in your spell. And also for England too, who won't have to be reduced to hunting and searching for a little while. They can just run up and do what they've organised themselves to do. But if you look at the replay, it was that really, I think, it was Durrich's position as much as anything else that I think accounted for that decision. Wokes again moves in, bowls, is swinging in and clipped beautifully. You heard an ooh and an ah. It was hit in the air, but it went like a rocket through mid-wicket. And Holder's off the mark with 4.
Now, I prefer to see you get caught like that, trying to be authoritative and not necessarily be reckless, but you're stamping your authority on the game, ball sliding down leg, you've been positive, than just jumping around the crease. I mean, Jace is a lot taller than Durrich is, but similar line, and just looking at where the shapes are ended. You don't want to lose a wicket so quickly after lunch, and there's now a even bigger task to not only rebuild, but then obviously have enough wickets in hand in the last hour.
4 wickets now for England to get. There's 41 overs. After this one, Wokes goes in bowls and Holder plays that easily. The ball runs down to third man. Retrieved by Bess. One more to the score. 143 for 6. That means that Holder, if things stay as they are, we're facing up to Ben Stokes from that other end, who switched to the short pitch mode before tees. Bowled about 5 overs, Andy, of that short pitch attack, more or less.
He's bowled 8 overs in the spell in total.
Yeah, I reckon that was about after 3 overs he's switched. In goes Wokes, bowls, easily played by Brooks, who's 53 not out from 97 balls and playing nicely. And that's the end of Wokes' over, in which he took his 100th Test wicket.
Yep, 75 of them at home. Is I was saying the second oldest seamer to reach 100 wickets for England since the 1950s. Only Devon Malcolm of England seamers who've reached 100 wickets since then has done so at a greater age. A pair for Shane Dowrich after he batted so well in Southampton last week. The first pair by a West Indies wicketkeeper since Ridley Jacobs against England at Edgbaston in 2004.
Oh, well, we won't go and tell him that yet. But, anyway, these stats, they can big you up and they can bring you down, can't they? I'm afraid. So it looks as if, yes, Stokes will continue this short pitched attack to Roland Holder. Roland Holder. Didn't mean that. Jason Holder. Wrong Holder.
Jason would not be happy.
Would not be happy.
Especially if looks come into it.
Well, don't tell him I said that. Jason Holder.
I should message him now.
No, don't. 143 for 6. I'm glad I entertained you. In comes Stokes, round the wicket. And what's Holder going to do? Well, he lets that go by outside the off stump. A little bit of a dabble at it. An interesting field because short leg is Pope and almost directly behind him, Root is saving the single. And he's talking to Broad, who's at mid-wicket. And then we've got a deep backward square leg, a long leg. Very fine third man. Stokes walks slowly back and goes round a pile of sawdust. Holder, bat raised. Waits now as Stokes comes in, bowls to him, down the leg side, just dips inside that.
You have to think it's a nice little battle within a battle. Stokes versus Roland Holder.
How old's Roland Holder now?
No idea. He was still involved in West Indies cricket.
Yes.
I think he probably still is at an administrative level. But Jason would obviously have seen Stokes' exploits in the couple of innings. Stokes would have virtually won the first couple of battles with the bat. And Jason hasn't had much of an impact with the bat this series, so now's the perfect time.
Very tall man, stands up now, bat raised, in comes Stokes, bowls a bouncer, turning. Again, just ducks underneath that. Allows the ball to pass harmlessly over his head, and it's collected by Butler. 143 for 6, and now Holder's prodding away at the pitch. Enormous pads strapped to his legs. Looks around the field. Roland Holder's 52. Oh, well, there you go.
We'd like Jason to get 52.
You'd like to get 52. The floodlights coming on. In comes Stokes. Bowls, well, a wasted ball, really. Very short and
That's a wide.
far down the leg side.
That's a wide.
Well, it's just another ball to tick off, isn't it? If you're West Indies, there's 40 overs to go. And the 2 balls that remain in this over. 143 for 6. I think Roland Holder was he chairman of selectors quite recently?
Yeah, Courtney Brown was.
Oh, okay. Here's Stokes running and bowling again, and a wasted ball, if I'm honest. It was just
another wide.
Yeah, it was just hurled in halfway down and harmlessly down the leg side it went. And now Jason Holder's doing some tapping of the pitch just to make the point to the umpire. Hang on a minute, is that too over shoulder height? I know he's got to get up a long way. But
Talking about Courtney Brown, he got into a real bad accident early in the year, and
right.
yeah, I think he's recovering, so
I
wish
hope
him
so.
well.
Absolutely.
The guy, he had actually on the right, and the guy that ran into him lost his life. He's being reckless, so fortunately Courtney Browning loses life as well. So
Oh, dear me, I didn't know
wish
that.
him speedy recovery, but yeah, it was testing times for the cricket fraternity back home.
A hero too, who won the Champions Trophy, didn't he, in the dark at the Oval. Stokes bowls, pitched up this time, and played firmly by Holder towards mid-on. Stokes rolls over and fields it. 143 for 6. The target, 312. England have 40 overs left in which to claim the last 4 wickets. And they will be Zara Joseph, Kima Roach and Shannon Gabriel. So you'd think, well, England will think, if they can break this partnership, that'll open end up.
Yeah. And you just think a target of 312, had the catch of Ben Stokes been taken and you're trying to chase 270, England can't be as expansive as they will be now, and you need 130 runs in 40 overs. Not that difficult on with this outfield if you're in.
143 for 6. Floodlights on, and Wokes on his way to bowl to Brooks, who plays that very neatly. Very unflappable character, it seems to me. Brooks, he just went forward there and played that away. Now, Roland Holder, that's why I remember seeing him last year on the tour. He's head of operations for Cricket West Indies. Actually, he was involved in getting this tour on, so thanks to him. Roger Harper is the lead selector. 143 for 6. 2 slips waiting. Wokes strides out, moves in, bowls to Brooks. That doesn't get up very much. Brooks was looking to get right up on his toes there to play that short ball, but to get down a little bit.
I was actually quite happy to see that just now, because from Stokes around the wicket, he was ducking quite early, and you start to wonder if he's short ball playing on his mind, but he has to be watching the ball long to be able to pick it up short and watch it long enough to see that it's levelled out and actually almost a punchable height.
Yeah, play it nicely. There's a man at short mid-wicket. It's Wokes, runs up, bowls, hits him on the pad, but that's going down the leg side. There's no run. 143 for 6. Lone cameraman points his TV camera towards play over on the right-hand side of the ground. Otherwise, Old Trafford is an eerie sight, to be honest. There's 2 people sitting and watching below the point. But, they almost look as if they're spectators. I mean, they won't be. I'm not sure who they are. Wokes bowls, and Brooks on the back foot plays down to mid-off. A couple of stewards, and that really is about it. And behind the ground to the left there, we can still see some West Indians having net practice.
They've been going on for ages.
They have. A long trip for those reserves.
Interestingly enough as well, the reserves can't leave the bags in the dressing room, so if you want to bat...
Oh, really? Here's Wokes, and that's nicely played again by Brooks, going right behind that. Well, I suppose because of room, is it? Social distancing and everything else.
Yeah, so they need to drag the bags from the room down the elevator or the stairs, because they're also advised to use the stairs more so than the elevator.
Yeah.
And then roll it to the nets and roll it back each time they want to have a net. So for the all-rounders or the bowlers who want to work on the batting, I don't think that'll be too flattering at all.
And that's a long way up those steps too. What's the West Indies on? 4th? 3rd and 4th floor?
Yeah, 3rd floor.
Yeah. England are on 4th and 5th. They're using the stairs. I've seen them doing that. 143 for 6. Wokes moves in, bowls to Brooks, a slower ball. Let's held that back a little bit. Brooks on the back foot. Push that away into the gully. It ends the over. 1 wicket has fallen since tea, with Darich bagging a pair, LBW to Wokes for a duck. So this really the last pair of recognised batsmen together. Perhaps Shannon Gabriel won't like me saying that, but he can forgive me. But another wicket, I think England will feel that they should finish it off with the 39 overs that remain. But they've got to remove one of these 2 first. And it looks as if Stokes will continue going round the wicket to Holder, although I must say the short ball didn't bother him at all in the previous over.
Not yet. And on TV highlights commentary, we turned his stump mic up and we could hear him and Blackwood having a go at each other. And he was telling Blackwood that he can bowl longer than he can bat. Stokes, and talking about batting averages, and Blackwood said, well, you average 2 drops an innings so far.
Really?
So some good banter. It'd be good to get that stump mic footage afterward.
I like a bit of that. So you can just turn it up, can you, and just have your little private listen.
Yes, I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed there's a Shane Warne moment when he was having a go at Paul Collingwood when he walked out to bat at the MCG one time. You could just turn it up. I was on the ABC, I think. I hear Shane going on about Paul Collingwood's MBE. What a joke it was, this sort of stuff coming in, and it was getting good fiery banter going. It wasn't about rude or nasty or swearing. It was just trying to get under the batsman's skin. Here's Stokes, pitches it up. Holder comes forward, plays that to mid-on, where Broad picks the ball up and has a look at it. Rubs it in his hands. Stokes arches back again, and Holder kills some time by tapping up the pitch. And Stokes turns in the distance. You see the pathway there, every step of his run-up as he comes in and bowls to Holder, plays that well. That was in the danger area, if you like, under the armpit, with 2 men catching there.
I remember being at school and Roddy Eswick, who's the bowling coach, he'd say when you're bowling fast, you're looking to hit the batter just under the heart. Just get rib height.
Yeah, I suppose that's difficult to get on top of that, and you can't duck, so it's that area between ducking and playing.
And that's where Blackwood found himself kind of tangled, both hands.
Yeah.
And they're just cuffing it in the air.
There's Stokes. Bowls short again. Oh, my word, he almost fell for that. Turning it off his hip and quite deliberately to Root, who's at leg slip. But that almost fell for the trap there. He wasn't fending it off, he just clipped it away. It was a firm shot, whether he forgot that Root was there.
And you see, Aggers, the thing is, not to give an excuse for why the West Indies have played the short ball so horribly, but you hardly find scenarios in first-class cricket in the West Indies where this type of thing happens.
Used to. Here's Stokes again, bowls very short. The Holder can just duck under that. Yeah, that's interesting, because West Indies batsmen always used to be very good against short pitch fast bowling because there's so much of it about.
And you think about in the first innings with West Indies bowling, we were all asking why there were no short balls, because in first class cricket, they know if you bowl down the channel long enough, the batsman will offer a chance, probably give their hands away. So they don't have to do it as a bowling unit, and as a batting unit, you obviously aren't accustomed to a 10, 12 over spell where you're just peppered.
Interesting. 143 for 6. Here's Stokes round the wicket and bowls short of a length, and Holder stands up and plays that carefully back up the pitch. And if you go back to 1932, 33 and Harold Larwood and bowling like this, but with, how many did he have behind square on the leg side, Andy? Sort of 6 fielders?
Yes, well, there was no restriction to that point.
No, there wasn't.
And the number you could have. So
So there'd been the bowler and the keeper, and there might have been, I don't know, 1 in the offside, and the rest just round there waiting for the catch to be fended off, 1 out in the deep perhaps for the hook shot. Stokes bowls a very high bouncer. It goes over Holder's head and into Butler's gloves. 143 for 6. So that was when the law changed, of course.
But I would hope that the West Indies bowling attack would have learnt something from the first innings. Obviously, in the second innings, the damage was done by the new ball.
Yeah.
And in the first innings, in the end, it seemed as though the damage was done by the new ball. But really and truly, you think about the rhythm of the attack being, or the batting attack being broken by Broad and the game virtually being on pause, which eventually helped Stuart Broad to have the impact that he did. So I hope that the West Indies bowling attack can see that. Next time they're faced with a situation is 40, 50, 60 overs in, just running and bowl some short balls to the second new ball.
I think a picture here that Andy's given. It says 6 men catching in the leg side and 1 in the off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see 8 men in that picture, including Harold Larwood himself, as Bill Woodfull ducks under a bodyline delivery. In goes Wokes. Bowles on off stump, fended away. Thanks, Eddie. Imagine facing that in those days, all coming up under the armpit. You've got all those fielders just round there waiting. Cruel tactic.
I don't know how you would play. I batted in Australia in a couple of tests, and as soon as you got to 20, and I was batting at 8, so they figured, you're here too long, Mr. Man. But as soon as I got to 20, Pattinson went around the wicket. You had fine leg, short leg, leg slip, square leg just in front, and you knew what was coming.
Yeah. 143 for 6. England need 4 wickets to win. Wokes runs in, bowls. Nicely played by Brooks, who's saying earlier, looks totally unconcerned. Very unflappable. He's just getting on with his batting.
My problem is he's been 53, I think, since tea. And that's what happened in the first innings as well. So he's doing very well to get to 50, get past 50, but when the short ball plan comes, when there's a break in rhythm or partnership is being broken, his challenge is now to find a way to keep his momentum.
Wokes again, runs in, bowls short to him. He's up on his toes. Pushing the ball away into the offside. Defensive shot, there's no run, and lots of clapping of hands. And Ben Stokes there, he must be puffing a bit because he's been going for a while now, but he's in position at second slip. It's funny, isn't it? Because when you're watching on as we are, sort of remotely and detached, you can say, this fella's playing so well. If you don't know what's going on in his mind, you don't even think, where am I going to get a run from?
Yeah, no, I had a chat with him last night, and he was saying, yeah, like he's opened his mind now. Obviously having to face these tactics and stuff. Not that he's scared or anything, but he's finding ways to counteract it in a positive manner.
Slips ready as Wokes runs in, and bowls on the leg stump. There he's away. Now he's got to wait for that ball that drifts onto his pads and it can nudge it away. And he moves to 54, 144 for 6. So England need 4 wickets to win this match. Overs ticking away, but there's still 37 to go after this. That's 2.5 hours.
Phil is awake.
He is awake. Phil Simmons, a coach, seemed to have a little possible snooze this afternoon. We saw, didn't we? Or maybe he's just closing his eyes, didn't want to watch the wickets falling. Maybe that was it.
But now, at the time with our chat with Shamar, I think he is the middle order player that the West Indies have been looking for to rival the impact that your Kohli would have and your Joe Root to be the backbone. You need someone in the middle order that they can depend on.
This is Wokes bowling. A Holder comes forward, plays out to cover. So this is the first time really that Jason Holder's been confronted by normal bowling, really line and length. A couple of slips there and so on. It's just been a barrage of short pitch bowling from Stokes that he's had to deal with so far. So 15 balls of that. And now Wokes will bowl in the more orthodox way. Off stump just outside. Looking to try and challenge that outside edge, but just moving that mid-wicket round a bit. They fancy that Holder might just flick one, as he did when he got off the mark, through mid-wicket. Wokes on his way to the West Indies captain, and that swings away, but again, held back, slightly slower ball that. Played away to gully, and that's the end of the over. So 144 for 6. England need 4 wickets. More from Carlos Brathwaite, and then Alison Mitchell will come in here.
Yeah, seeing some sheer hope graphics on the screen. I really feel for him. I think in this series thus far he's been batting so well. He's absorbed some pressure. As I mentioned before the series started, I think he should be batting at 4 and Brooks at 3. But he's done the role of the number 3. I guess similar to Joe Denley, absorbing the early pressure and then just getting out at the wrong time. So it's unfortunate to see him batting as well as he is now and not being able to carry on. But just showing his graphic by position and his best position in Test cricket, he's actually averaging 50 at number 5.
Interesting. Doing a job for the moment though, but still a whopping 37 overs left for the West Indies to survive, but for England to take 4 more wickets. And it's Brooks on strike on 54. Stokes around the wicket once more. In he goes, getting in behind it, high front elbow, back up the pitch. Stokes fielding off his own bowling. He's still got this field set for around the wicket. Short ball attack with the leg slip, short leg, square leg in place. Man back on the fine leg boundary as well. Carlos, it's a shame you're not sticking around for another, probably an hour and 20 minutes. I'm not sure whether you'll be on when we next go, as Stokes is in, short ball ducking underneath it, when we next go to the shipping forecast. We've sort of gone over the halfway mark of the series before it took you to ask me what on earth the shipping forecast is about.
Gee, someone sent a link, I think, on Twitter. I know it was Adam that showed us something about the sleeping.
This is something else.
Video on YouTube.
Have you got your head around the presumably you haven't actually heard the shipping forecast, because when you're on air, you hear us throw to it, and then we carry on talking about the cricket.
Raises my intrigue, and then I'm out again.
So it's a huge mystery to you at the moment. Stokes around the wicket, bouncer, but it's down the leg side, and Brooks didn't have to do much to get out of the way, through to Butler. Well, it's got a very melodic sounding delivery to the shipping forecast, which it is for all those out on the high seas.
Dulcet?
Dulcet
tones?
Yep, always presented, read by a broadcaster with very dulcet tones. But you see the waters around Great Britain are split into different areas. It's 31 different sea areas around the British Isles. Stokes around the wicket again, ducking underneath it is Brooks through to Jos Buttler. But they all have wonderful sounding names like Dogger, Fisher, German Bite. And it's a little bit of a code almost. If you don't know quite what the words mean, it can sound like a wonderful code, but it's quite poetic as well.
How could you leave North at Syrah out of that?
And South at Syrah. No favouritism intended. Viking, that's one of my favourites. Strong, solid. Now, I've got an email here from Andy Fraser. Speaking of voices, as Stokes is running in again into Brooks around the wicket. Fuller this time. Brooks getting back down to it. Stokes fielding off his own bowling. Dear TMS, says Andy, am I alone in thinking I could listen to Carlos all day with his lullaby Caribbean voice, tinged with a bit of the Blarney? Would it be possible for Carlos to read the shipping forecast next time it's time for the news from Dogger and German Bite? Andy says, I suspect he would be a natural. Producer, we've got a nod. Next test match, said Carlos, next test match. This one is in a very interesting position at the moment. In goes Stokes, and getting in behind it, Brooks, who was up on his toes, fends it down into the offside. And West Indies remain 144 for 6. England striving for 4 more wickets. Holder on 5. Brooks stays then on 54. It's a bit of an institution, the shipping
Adam,
forecast.
do I need to do any homework when I go home this time? I hate when you ask a question and people do the old maybe not. It's always yes you should, but I don't want to say it.
Well, look, before you get replaced here, just a little bit of training. Just read from there, just down to there. Just read that little bit.
Viking, wind northwesterly 4 or 5, sea state slight or moderate, weather showers, visibility good.
You've got the job. Hey, we'll make the challenge much harder for
I
the
could put
next
down my
test
Instagram
match
profile as well.
when we do it in full. Yep. Ordinarily, yes, it's but then you go through every single sea area.
31 of them.
Yep. Stokes, new over the wicket now, and it's gone past Holder. He took a big stride forward, and he's looking suspiciously down at the pitch as it's gone through to Butler. And now got Brooks walking down to have a little word, and there might be a little prodding going on there. Just bounced, cut back in. Holder left it, but it's the movement off the pitch.
I love Chris Wokes, Ali. Chris Wokes always does the dog work. He got 3 for in the first inning. No one remembered it, but he's always thereabouts.
I think there's a few people that share your view. As Wokes is in now, bowling full and outside off stump, and Holder gets his bat to it, defending out into the offside. Yeah, he's a hard worker. He can bowl beautifully, can't he? Lovely shape with the ball. Yep. Walking back to his mark now, and he's got that air of a man who is... He's always the plugger, plugging away, waiting for those rewards.
He just always looks happy. Is like, I just got 4 for... Probably should be playing this test, but it was left out. But now I'm just happy to be a professional cricketer and doing what I love.
Yeah, you're right. He does have a happy demeanour. In over the wicket again. Defence from Holder. To the offside. No
so
run.
I obviously played against him a couple of times, and you know, when like you obviously look into opposition teams and you see people that you like and you admire for whatever reason. For me, I just again like that demeanor. He was the workhorse and he loved the role he did without getting credit. And one thing that stuck out to me is that when he burst on the scene, it was 79, 80 miles an hour, similar to my pace, Jason's pace. And then he started getting up to 85.
As Woke sets off into Holder again. Holder again back, covering up on off stump. Wokes will pick up no run.
Yeah, and I remember him touring the Caribbean in 2015, and that's when the admiration really started. I think it was 2015. But for some reason, I reached out to Chris Jordan, and I was like, Chris, what type of bloke is Chris Wokes? Like, would he be okay with you passing his number on? I just want to have a chat with him about getting my pace up.
All right, yeah.
Because it's different to being a fast bowler and being someone who used to bowl medium and then eventually bowling fast.
He's bowling now to hold with 2 slips in place. Touch of shape back in, defended out towards backward point, no run.
Yeah, so Jordan messaged him, I don't know how, just thinking, then he sent the number over and I just messaged him, hi, Chris,
This
Carlos
is in the
here.
midst of the tour in 2015.
No, this was in the
right.
midst of just some random set of downtime I had. And just random chat, just how you're doing, you know, I obviously follow your journey, you were bowling X pace, you know, up to date. If you could share any tips. And he was so happy and so generous with the information. And
Well, that's a lovely thing to hear, I think, as Wokes is outside the off stump. I mean, people say, you know, we're giving tips to the opposition, but the cricket fraternity is different, isn't it? It's about everybody wanting to help each other in many regards. It's the end of the over, 140-40 for 6.
yeah, for me, like, obviously, I admire someone from afar, and then you actually get in contact with them, or you have a little brush with them in some way, and you start to think, probably admiration misplaced. But in this case, it was admiration heightened, and it was just like a different level of respect. And then obviously I don't want to share what we spoke about in detail, but from listening to his journey and where he's gotten to and how hard he's worked to get there, and then to continue to see him at some points in time being the fall guy, he's still like, you don't see him put anything on social media that would slate anyone. He's just happy to go about his business and do the hard work. So I mean, for someone who doesn't get the credit, he definitely has a fan in Carlos.
He is one of the nice guys of cricket. I think that is widely acknowledged. I won't ask you for whom you've maybe found the admiration has been misplaced, but yeah, very good to know.
Zit.
Yeah. But also, the T20 leagues around the world have broken down a lot of barriers, haven't they, between, you know, I guess you must get a sense of a player that might be not quite accurate to their real personality, because the only time you see them is on the field in a confrontational, you know, high-octane, competitive environment, whereas actually that person might just be a really nice bloke behind the
and
scenes.
sometimes they probably aren't, but when you get to know more about them, you kind of understand why they are the way they are.
Change of bowling. Stuart Broad is coming back into the attack. The innings is 50 overs old. Broad's taken 3 for 25 from his 10. It was a burst either side of lunch. We haven't seen him bowl since then. England need 4 more wickets to win. So, what can Broad do here? He's got Brooks to bowl at, 2 slips. There is a short extra cover and a short mid-wicket in place. So Broad headbanded up, in now, bowling full, and he's beating the outside edge straight away. Oh, and he's letting out a puff of air to say, yep, I'm going to be on it straight away here, and he is. Brooks wandering down the pitch, prodding away. 54, but it wasn't very convincing defensive stroke from him then, just a bit of a prod forwards. Alistair Cook has replaced Carlos Brathwaite. This is another little turning point, couldn't it be? Can Broad be the man now to take the game forward for England and win it?
Hopefully. He's done it in the past.
Bright sunshine, he's racing in now full. He's squared him up a touch defensively, just getting that bat right behind the ball, high front elbow. Yeah, he's had quite a breather now, hasn't he? We haven't seen him bowl since a period just after lunch.
No, it's been a good bowling performance actually by the England seamers. I think they've had it. I like the variety of the left arm. You always feel Joe Root's got options. You know, the Ben Stokes bouncers. You got, you know, Wokes if it's swinging. Sam Curran. You know, it feels like a good attack. You feel like Joe Root can tactically do a lot of things.
Broad in, that's flicked away aerially, past the square leg umpire though. There was a mid wicket there, but it's just wide. Coming back for 2. Throw comes back into the lime green gloves of Joss Butler. 146 for 6, but that didn't have the sense of control about it.
No, he's played really well. That was uppish. Ollie Pope probably 10 yards in front of the square, maybe even more, 15 yards in front of the square. Would have gone straight to square leg. I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have played it quite the same if the field was there.
Broad earlier dismissed John Campbell, dismissed Shea Hope, he dismissed Roston Chase, and had the West Indies at 37 for 4. He's in again now. Over the wicket, an edge, and it's gone past second slip, running away down to the boundary, and it will be 4. Ben Stokes put in the dive. So some runs coming, but also some edges and some, Stuart Broad as a 150 is up.
Ben Stokes' marathon spell, 11 overs, 4 maidens, 1 for 20. It's his second 11-over spell of the match. And looking at the lengths he's bowled as he's tried to flog something out of this pitch, out of over 1,000 spells of 3 or more overs by England fast bowlers in the CricViz database, it was his 2 spells in this match were the 4th and 6th shortest pitched of those. So he has 2 of the other top 6 as well.
Wow, amazing effort. Broad in, banging it in, fuller of length. Brooks 60 not out, defends to the offside, no run. Yep. Marathon from Ben Stokes. I mean, with the bat earlier, with the ball, chasing off his own bowling back to the boundary at one point.
Andy, I might have a stat for you. No, I don't know if this has been spoken about on TMS, but is Ben Stokes the first person to score over 250 runs and take 2 wickets for an Englishman in a Test match?
Ooh, I can check that for you. He did. There was a niche stat about him.
Yeah, I mean, this is where I'm.
Last ball of the over from Broad, and it's full. And coming forward is Brooks defending.
By the way, just for everyone, I haven't looked this up. This has been sent to me. Just hopefully trying to prove.
When you're sitting in the pavilion with Essex after nicking off, you can familiarise yourself with the stat system. He's only the second England player to have a 50 and a century and take a wicket in both innings of a test, and the other was Ian Botham in the legendary Headingley Test of 1981 when he made 50, 149 not out, took 6 wickets in the first innings and 1 in the second. So Stokes with 176, 78 not out and a wicket in each innings of this.
That's
only other England player to do that admittedly niche but still impressive achievement. But I'll check
my previous one.
Yeah.
Did that come from your mum by any chance?
No. Okay. I was doing it on BBC on TV, so I'm just wondering whether that's right. I want to check with the guru.
Has your mum given you a match report from today?
Yeah,
yet?
we've already had that. Not from
okay.
today, from yesterday.
In goes Wokes, now new over. A little bit of late movement perhaps. Holder coming forward. They're going to run on a misfield to Crawley's there at backward points. A single.
We've done a lot together, haven't we, today?
Today we have
been
done
on
a
radio
lot.
and TV together all the time.
Following each other around. It's because I know you're leaving. I said to the producer, I just need to get as much cookie as possible before he goes. But yeah, England striving here.
Yeah, just the element of frustration, just maybe creeping in. There's still a lot of overs left. You just know that they can get one of these two. You're opening up an end, aren't you? With Joseph in next.
Wokes into Brooks, and he's beaten. That one's taken off. Surprised the batsman, through to Butler. Really went with tremendous carry. Still rising, I think, when it reached Butler.
Right in Jeffrey's corridor, that wasn't it? In the corridor. Beautifully bowled. Played it well, actually, because it did bounce. He just dropped his hands. He didn't follow it. Didn't curtain rail it too much, as Graham Gooch used to call it. It was a lovely ball. And I think England just got to believe, and they've got to hang in there. Something will happen if they keep doing the basics right.
Brooks awaits. Works in now, full in on his toes, and he's looking to drive only as far as mid-on there, where he finds Broad. He's held the ball back towards the striker's end because Brooks might have been wandering out of his crease. Well, we've ascertained that Carlos Brathwaite might be Chris Wokes' #1 fan.
Really?
Yeah, he's a huge admirer. He was telling a story of how he had asked for Chris Wokes' number at one stage just to talk to him about bowling and how he'd managed to increase his pace, and Wokes was only too happy to compare notes, and he's a huge admirer of the work he puts in as Wokes is in once again outside the off stump, out to backward points and no run.
He's a lovely man.
Almost for sort of limited recognition. He sort of runs in the slipstream of a lot of the other maybe bigger personalities, if you like, or the bowlers that have big spells. Broad is known for his big bursts, and Stokes known for everything that he can do in the game. But Wokes quietly operates and operates with effectiveness so much of the time.
Yeah, and then you go back to the World Cup win. He played a lot of those games. The opening the bowling was particularly effective.
In now to Brooks, goes back, defence, set back nice and high front elbow.
And just Mr. Reliable, isn't he? And that, really took on that role opening bowling in the World Cup, bashing away. Doesn't bowl too many bad balls. And as I think over the next few years he will play probably a more predominant part in this England bowling attack. Obviously, as Stuart Broad and James Anderson come to the end, he'll probably give the first go of the new ball. I don't know how many times in Test match cricket he's opened the bowling in England, because that's his strength. He's such a good new ball bowler.
Yeah, and get lovely shape with the new ball. As he's in now, back holder outside the off stump, angles out towards point. No run to end the over. West Indies 151 for 6. So we can see how many overs left in the day. 33 left in the day.
And obviously, naturally, those two opened the bowling, and they played so much together. So, all the stats about Chris Wokes, he hasn't bowled that many times, probably in the totally ideal conditions. He's always been first change or second change. He's bowled really well the new ball. And everyone loves him. He's an ultimate team man.
Mr. Humble as well. I was interviewing him down on pitch side before the start of today's play, and his last words were that he hopes he can keep his place the next match, and nothing is taken for granted, nothing is assumed.
I don't know many people who have a bad word to say about Chris Wokes. Lovely family, legend, and the Wizard sums it up, can just do everything.
This is in response to your query about how often he's opened the bowling. This is his 20th home test, the 39th innings he's bowled in.
As Broad is in, new over, bowling to Holder outside the off stump, and it's a tumbling take by Butler to his right hand side.
And only the 7th time that he's taken the new ball out of those innings.
Yeah, he's had to work hard with an older ball, hasn't he? So much of the time.
Yeah.
You were talking about just how many options this bowling attack gives Joe Root. Who would you be looking at? You've led yourself down that pathway, Alistair.
Well, I didn't. I was just saying I like this option. I mean, this is when the rotation policy will become very interesting.
Broad in now. Fuller, has he beaten him? He has beaten him. Holder lured forward. Broad's got his hands on his hips, staring down at the ground, thinking, how did that not take the edge? Holder wandering away towards square leg to settle himself again, but a beautifully presented seam.
And it's going to be really hard for the selectors. And you say last week they didn't manage to win the game, but you can't really fault the bowlers. They didn't get enough runs, and England got enough runs in this game. If this hadn't rained, they would have easily beaten West Indies. It's only because it's rained that we're in this kind of situation.
Holder stands tall, bat raised as Broad is in, outside the off stump, could carry through again to Butler, left well alone by Holder.
And if you had Anderson, Wood and Archer with 460-70 runs to play with on this wicket, England, I think, would be in this very, very similar situation. So I think England's success would be down to how many runs they score. The bowlers, they've got so many options, so many good options with the bowling, that it almost doesn't matter in one sense. You know what I mean? You're picking hairs between, the Chris Wokes, Mark Wood, they're so skillful, such good bowlers. Yes, they offer something slightly different in terms of pace.
Holder awaits, Broad in, bowling fuller and straighter. It's defended up to mid-on, no run.
Paces and trajectory and all that stuff. But ultimately, in English conditions, in a test match here, you can pick almost any of those bowlers and they're going to do a job. If they score runs, they will I'm pretty much guaranteed they'll take the 20 wicket.
Ideally, would you always want one of Archer or Wood to give you an express pace option, or again, is it always going to depend on conditions? Pitch?
Yeah, I mean, I think ideally, when you've got a bowler who can bowl 91 now, I don't think England have really missed that on this wicket.
Broad into Holder, beaten again. But it's also ricocheted off Butler's boot as he went to take it very low down to the ground. It didn't take the edge on the way through, but Broad's got close a couple of times in this over now. You
could have said yesterday afternoon before Stuart Broad got all those, got the wickets with Chris Wokes and that collapse, that it would have been nice to have. It wouldn't have been Ben Stokes bowling the short pitch bowling. He could have done it slightly quicker. But I think it is England. For this England side to be consistently successful, it is down to how many runs they score.
That last delivery kept low,
and he nicked it as well.
Oh, Ultra Edge has got on it. I don't think anybody in the England team caught that. Defence, but off the outside edge of the bat, out towards backward point.
Yeah,
it kept low, took the edge, died, and dropped in front of Butler. So, Broad hasn't yet got the breakthrough, but he's back into the attack after that spell early when he took 3 wickets. Bit of a meeting going on now between he and Root and Stokes, but 151 for 6. There are another 32 overs left in the day for England to get 4 more wickets. West Indies' target, remember, was set at 312. Alistair, a few more words from you. Simon Mann then coming in.
Yeah, a bit of a meeting of the brains trust there. Joe Root, Stuart Broad, Ben Stokes really discussing what the plan is, and it's good, the communication, making sure that everyone is clear of what they want to do. And yeah, it's another 30 overs left for England to get these 4 wickets.
Well, it could go the distance, this. These two are resisting stoutly. Brooks has played really well. And Holder has looked relatively assured since he came in. 6 from 30 balls, the captain, the focus of the team. And Curran is now going to bowl round the wicket. I feel LBW is the main route for England. Well, it's certainly up there anyway on this surface. Here goes Curran into bowl outside the off stump, nudged away into the offside by Brooks towards backward point, and there is no run. It's been a disappointing day for Dominic Bess today. Been hard work this Test match on a pitch where the focus is on you because it has spun a bit. It hasn't spun. I mean, it's not been prodigious spin, has it, on this final day? But I think as a Test spinner, you expect to play your part. It hasn't quite worked out for him today. So here's Curran shuffling into bowl, and that swings down the leg side. Okay, he's bowling round the wicket with the angle as well, but a bit of wobble there. And past Brooks, shaped a glance, and Butler took it diving away to his left-hand side.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many balls ragging today, have we? Haven't seen that, the real turn and bounce.
No.
Or the ones, pitching out, outside off stump, and Joss Butler's taking him down the leg side. Is that an indication of Dom Bess not bowling as well as he could have done, or the pitch not spinning as much?
Curran bowls. Brooks defends, pushing it out to extra cover, and there's no run. He's 60 not out, Brooks. Played well in the first innings as well. Excellent Test match.
Seem unlikely the pitch. Well, some pitches do. They spin less for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't quite know why.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
You have so many theories. You think this would be dry as now, but some pitches start tacking. They spin off the tackiness on the day when you think, it's going to spin miles the rest of the game, and then as it dries out, it doesn't spin.
Curran bowls. It's full. It's driven by Brooks through the offside, past short extra cover for at least 2. Wokes has to chase it back. Picks it up, makes sure his England cap doesn't fall off, and sends in the return to Butler. And Brooks on to 62, and West Indies to 153 for 6. When Jermaine Blackwood was there, you just for a moment thought it might be on for West Indies, but Stokes dismissed him for tea. Dowrich LBW to Wokes, a marginal one. It went in England's favour. 4 wickets to win. 31 overs left after this one. Curran moves in and bowls outside the off stump. Nothing from Brooks. Wide enough to allow it to go by, although you have to be a bit careful with Curran bowling round the wicket, that angle coming in, the natural angle. Just get that judgment right on your off stump. And Brooks did there. It was a bit wide from Sam Curran. Another one of the England bowlers wearing a white headband. 153 for 6. We've got 2 men close in on the offside. There's a silly mid-off and a short extra cover. And a short mid-wicket as well. Curran goes in, bowls to Brooks. Brooks plays that with the outer part of the bat. Defensive shot, thick outside edge, rolls away into the offside. It's the end of the over from Curran. He's gone at nearly 5 and over today. It hasn't bowled much. 153 for 6. Brooks 62. Holder on 6. It looked relatively straightforward for England when it was 37 for 4 after 15 overs. It looked a long haul for West Indies, but they've got a prize at the end to aim for. I think that's the key, isn't it, here?
It is, and it'd be a big achievement for these guys, for West Indies to retain the trophy. And as it gets a bit, then we're going to get into the close when they get closer and closer. Can they hold their nerve? There's definitely going to be another little twist. I wonder if maybe it's worth going Dom Bess the other end just for a couple of overs with the drift. The breeze is coming from, as we look, from the James Anderson left to right, and that would help him drift the ball out and bowl a more attacking line.
Broad bowls to Holder. Holder's in behind a straight ball. goes to crawl it short extra cover. The sun's with us now. It's clearing this Manchester afternoon. We've had quite a lot of cloud cover today, but a lot of blue sky now and some pleasant sunshine. So I don't think the light is going to be an issue, which is just as well, because we're probably, if it goes the distance, we could well be here at 7:10, something like that. There's still 30 overs left, and it's 5:05. Broad moves in, bowls to Holder. Holder looking very assured there on the front foot. Plays it towards mid-off, and there's no run. And in Poulton, I think this is tongue-in-cheek. Can England ask for an extra half an hour to get the win if needed? Well, they'd love to, but the answer is a big NO.
I think Australia might have wanted that in Cardiff in 2009, if that was the rules. Not to keep playing.
Keep playing until you win. 153 for 6. Broad bowls, and Holder runs this down to third man, and he's going to pick up 4 runs. Bess is after it. It's one of those situations where, I mean, just half a thought where you think, oh, quite nice if you give West Indies 50 runs here, so we'll get them back in the game. Do you know what I mean? And play a few shots. Well, Blackwood was there. He felt they were doing that anyway.
And actually, maybe England have got this. You know, that 300 target has always been out of their side. If it was 270, well, Jonathan Agnew will say you sometimes need to go better to dangle the carrot, but I think extra few runs have just given that England security.
Broad bowl to Holder, who drives straight to mid-off, and there's no run. Captains generally don't like to dangle the carrot, do they, in Test matches?
It's brave, isn't it? It is brave. It's so much relying on. It's so important Test wins, aren't they? And you know, if England can't win this game, or don't win this game, they don't want to be then have lost it, so the next game's dead because they would over generous.
157 for 6. Holder on 10. Broad bowls to Holder. Outside the off stump, thick inside edge, passes off stump to the Butler's left. That's gone for 4 as well. That was a loose shot from Jason Holder. Takes him to 14. 161 for 6. I mean, that could easily have cannoned back into his off stump.
Even England are feeling the frustration that just watching the cricket, there's little half chance, not half chances, but things are just happening. Just got to keep hanging in there. Like so easily could have gone onto the stumps of an inside edge.
I mean, what they know is if they can get one more wicket, then you're down. I know Alzari Joseph batted well in the first innings this night watchman. He's a capable player, but he looks like a capable stroke maker to me, not necessarily a defensive player when you're looking for a draw. Here's Broad bowling. Holder, plenty of time to guide that away on the offside. And there is no run. That's the end of Broad's over. 3 for 39 from Stuart Broad, from 13 overs to go with his first innings, 3 for 66. So he's had a good comeback match, Broad. England desperate for something. Not desperate at the moment, actually, but keen, I think, at the moment. The desperation comes in probably another 10 overs' time. 161 for 6.
Yeah, I was just talking about Don Best ball on the other end. A lot of the balls which have misbehaved have been bowling from that James Anderson end. So you're not going to. I don't think you're going to do it very long. But he seemed to be struggling to get the ball outside the off stump in that challenging attacking line. He bowled quite straight and full. But you look at the wind, would have been pushing that ball in. So actually, might help him and aid him to bowl in that attacking channel. And there is a little bit of rough this end as well for him to bowl into. Wouldn't be the worst idea.
Curran bowls, not far away from the off stump. I'm talking about that angle that Curran creates, that natural angle, left arm round the wicket, and Brooks left it, and it's sneaked past that off stump.
It was a good leave in the end. I mean, it was close, wasn't it? 4th stump went over.
Well, the other thing as well, actually, you're out there, if you're a slip fielder wicket keeper, if you go and it just puts that little bit of doubt in the batsman's mind about next one, play at that one and perhaps nick it through to the keeper when you don't have to play. Those little things.
And this is like that's Sam Curran all over, and hasn't been at his.
Curran bowls full, defended towards a silly mid-off where it's picked up by Root and there's no run.
Hasn't been at his best today. Looks, he's only bowled 5 overs. He hasn't looked that threatening, but he's always got that knack of doing something and making something happen. And, he's got a great record in England of winning games of cricket for England. He's got a great chance at influencing with the bat when he bats so attacking him. And here, his change of angle, 5 overs of 25, not much to write home about. Suddenly pick up a wicket here will be so invaluable.
Curran in, forward goes Brooks, playing calmly in defence. dropping the ball into the onside, stops before it reaches mid-wicket. There's no run. Have we done the current stat about he's played in 7 home tests and they won them all?
Yes.
And if he were to win that, he would take him to 8, obviously. And how many players have done? There's 3 players that have done 9, won their first 9 home tests.
For England, I gave you the list earlier on.
Oh yeah, I can remember it now. I can remember it. Geraint Jones, Andrew Strauss, and A.N. Other. Ken Barrington. That was it. Those were the ones who've done 9. Curran bowls, and Brooks gets the bat down just in time. The ball swings in a fraction, but I think even if he missed it, that would have been going down the leg side. Struck him on the pad with the angle.
On the Ben Stokes stat, 250 runs and 2 wickets. He's the 8th player in Test history to do that, and the first England player. The last man to it was Tilakaratne Dilshan of Sri Lanka, who scored 162, 143. Took 4 for 10 in the match against Bangladesh in Chittagong in 2009.
Here is Curran running into ball. His LBW shout, big shout out, kept low. Up goes the finger. Brooks looks where his feet are and wanders down to have a chat with Holder. That seemed to scuttle through. He was caught on the back foot, and even with the angle, it's going to be hard for him to survive that. And in fact, he's walking off. He's not going to review it. And England have that vital breakthrough thanks to Sam Curran.
That's what we were just speaking about. He just makes things happen, and that was just slightly short, and he did skid through. A really good spot there. Just skidded through, beat Brooks for pace. He's not the quickest bowler, but he just skidded it through, and he was absolutely dead. Didn't bother reviewing. He played really well, Brooks. That's a very, very slow walk off for his 62, but that is Sam Curran all over. He's hard to leave out. He's hard to leave out in England with the effect he has on games in big moments.
Well, that was what England were looking for. You could just tell the way they celebrated there. You can often see how a team is going in the field by the way they celebrate the wicket. And Curran ran through towards the slip corner. There weren't many in the slips, but he was off towards Stokes and Butler, and they all celebrated together. They knew how important that wicket was because it opened the door. It gets you into the real lower order of this West Indies batting. Alzari Joseph, who batted well in the first innings, but he did give England a chance. Is it not Joseph?
No,
it's Roach, is it?
Kemar
Roach is coming at 9. Okay, well there we go. Well, anyway, it gets you into Kemar Roach then, who's not in the same bracket as the top 8.
Absolutely, and you feel now that's a lot of balls for numbers 9, 10, 11 to survive alongside Jason Holder. Just another little boost for England, weren't they? Just getting a little bit frustrated. Holder had a couple of edges, went down to third man, the inside edge past the stumps, and you're just wondering. But England, good wicket, a good wicket. And Phil Tufnell's walked in with a big smile on his face.
There are 29.1 overs left. The players are taking drinks, and the ground staff are out there remarking the creases and sweeping up.
Brooks 62 from 136 balls, 2 sixes and 4 fours.
You can watch video clips of the highlights of today's action. You can see that wicket fairly shortly now on the BBC Sport website and app. And tonight at 7 o'clock, or this evening at 7 o'clock, today at the Test, all the highlights of this final day. Who knows what is left for us. West Indies got a tall order now to survive, but we're into the last 30 overs of this Test match. The captain is still there. It's Holder, Roach, Joseph and Gabriel. 5 overs of the new ball potentially for England later on, so that is a factor as well. Let's have a look at the LBW shout from Curran.
Was that outside the line?
We're just seeing now, Tuffers. Umpire's call for impact and wickets hitting towards the top of middle and off.
It was Scuttler.
Yeah. Scuttler from Curran.
Yeah, just what England needed, wasn't it? You just felt that it was slipping away from England, but great wicket, great timing.
Here's Curran into bowl to Roach, the new man. It's full wide of off stump. Roach offers the pad, lays it through to Butler. 161 for 7. Other things to look out for, as well as the highlights of today's cricket on BBC Two at 7 o'clock. The TMS podcast will be available later. We get all the reaction from both camps to this Test match, and tomorrow there'll be a new Tuffers and Vaughan podcast.
Don't miss that tomorrow, because it's going to be a belter.
Is it? So you didn't see Tuffers' reaction there. Well, I'll tell you what, it was a shrug. Well, it might be a belter, it might not. Well, you have to listen to find out if it is or not.
They're all belters,
They're all
mate.
belters.
Don't you worry about that.
All
We
right.
will be getting stuck into this Test match, which has been another great one. I mean, we're here again, day 5,
After
with it in
tea.
the balance
Yeah.
after tea. Yeah.
One thing to note, England have had 3 umpires call
Go against
LBWs today.
Oh, go for them.
Go for them, yeah.
Yeah, but then we had the glove that went against us.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was one that was glove, arm,
yeah.
caught, not given out, and England didn't review it. Right, here's Broad bowling to
Yeah.
Holder. Holder moves in, and Broad moves in. Holder turns it into the onside. Roach goes through for 1, and they're going to come back for the second. They are going to come back for the second.
Close.
Throws on its way, and Holder's struggling to make his ground. He dips at the line, and I think he's home using that long reach. But that was a very risky second one. It's going to be reviewed, but I think this is okay.
We can see your best side on angle, please.
It felt okay. There's not much excitement from England.
Why throw to Holder's end? If it
Oh.
had been a better throw, he was gone.
Back down. Back down. Thank you. The decision for the big screen is not out. Repeat, not out.
That would have been a bonus.
Yeah, a better throw right by the
Yeah,
bails, and he
yeah.
might have been struggling there, or, as you say, the other end.
Yeah.
It felt like a really tight 2.
Why throw to the bloke who's
6'8".
6'8", and then throw to the little fella's end? He
Well,
can't.
63 for 7. Broad bowls to Holder outside the off stump. Holder leans forward and lets it go. Those 2 runs take Holder to 16. And West Indies to 163 for 7. I just noticed that was 79 miles an hour. Yeah, if you look at it, we're just seeing it from side on. If he'd thrown at Roach's end,
Yeah. Well gone.
I mean, really, there could have been a run out either end, because Holder was just ahead of Roach in the running, and also he's a taller man, so he's got a longer stretch. Wow, that was a let-off, really.
Yeah.
Holder looks up to see Broad approaching, and Holder's up on his toes to a ball that's short, playing it defensively into the onside, and it stops just off the onside of the pitch on this bright afternoon at Old Trafford now. Breezy, it's been cool for most of the Test match, to be honest. Some cloud around, but reasonably confident that if England need the 28 overs, so these last 3 wickets, they'll have them. Of course, they won't want it to get that far, but I'll polish it off as soon as possible. Broad bowls to Holder, who plays quietly and opens the face, runs it away on the offside. Holder's off for a single, and then the throw comes in.
Steady.
Yeah, trying to run himself out there.
Yes.
Holder gets back. If the throw had hit the stumps, I think we've been upstairs again for that one. Again with Holder home. Let's have a look at the replay. He's looking for the single because we're moving towards the end of the over, are we? He was sent back. No, I think he would have been okay. Just put back down in time. England 3 wickets away.
Yeah.
28 overs left after this one. 2 balls left in it. Broad starts off again. 2 slips in and bowls to Holder. It's full. It's chipped away down towards fine leg. Curran picks up, sends in the return, and there's Holder's single. England want to bowl as much at Roach as they possibly can. Well, they got 1 ball here, but in this situation, you want to be trying to get both men out. You don't want to be just looking at getting one bloke
Get
out.
them all out.
Yeah, you want to got to be attacking Holder as well. And
Be a great effort by England as well to win this.
well, when you think
Lost
yesterday
a hold
afternoon,
there.
it didn't look possible, did it?
No.
199 for 3,
Yeah.
17 wickets to fall in a day and a half.
Really manufactured the win if it happens.
Last ball of Broad's over. Roach yet to score. Broad goes in and bowls to Roach, and Roach plays that very competently, right in behind it.
He's improved.
Playing that towards short extra cover, and there's no run. 164 for 7. So there we go. On we go. Holder 17. Roach yet to score. More from Tuffers, and then it will be Ishak Gua.
Do we have an emergency stat on Roach, Andy?
Not on Roach, but a little more on Stokes. He's faced over 400 balls of the bat, and he's bowled over 20 overs in this game. He's the first cricketer in tests to bat for 400 or more balls and bowl 20 plus overs of pace since Andrew Hall for South Africa against India in Kanpur in 2004. So, yeah, an impressive feat of endurance.
He's a
cricket.
good blocker, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, he's not on strike at the moment. Jason Holder standing tall, towering above the stumps as Sam Curran pushes away. He's bowling around the wicket to Holder. Holder on the back foot, working it to mid-wicket. So the field, deep point, he's got a slip, extra cover, mid-off, mid-on. Mid-wicket, deep, backward square, fine leg. There's Curran with his white headband. Walks back to the top of his mark, has tossed the ball from Stuart Broad in his white headband. As he turns, top of his mark, here he comes again, Curran. Past the umpire. Bowls, Holder defence to the offside, covers the ball as he lunges forwards. And a good move from Joe Root. Toughest to bring Curran back into the attack, having just bowled the 4 overs in the innings. It's worked for him.
Well, he just seems to get crucial wickets at crucial times, doesn't he? Curran, perhaps with the angle, the left arm, or decided to come round the wicket and just nip one through his defences, and he played really well, hadn't he, Brooks?
As Curran bowls to Holder, pushing to that man in extra cover, Zach Crawley there, who tosses the balls to Joe Root. Yeah, it's that little spark, isn't it, that Ben Stokes obviously has when you're in a tight situation and it's you saying to yourself, I can turn this game around.
Yeah,
I can turn this game around for
even
the
with
team.
an old soft old ball, because that's what happened here.
Curran bowls, Holder drives back to the bowler. No run.
And it's a bit soul destroying for bowlers, you know. A nice fresh ball zipping around a little bit, and then it just gets older and older and softer. You've got to keep yourself going, haven't you?
Field come in, deep point comes in, and deep backward square as well. Trying to keep Holder on strike. 2 balls left of this over. As Curran will run away from us from the Brian Statham end. Shuffles away, now into his stride. Bowls to Holder, working it to mid-wicket. No run. Yeah, I was just thinking, just before, I think it was the over before, Stuart Broad, it was an inside edge, nearly onto the stumps, down to fine leg. Why are you making faces at me?
No, just...
And I was thinking, in that moment, that's when you need a crowd.
Yes.
When you're working as hard as you possibly can, you're not getting loads out of the surface, and you just need the crowd to lift you when something doesn't go your way. Is Curran bowls to Holder, who's struck on the pad, but very high up, and falls out onto the offside. So they managed to keep Kemar Roach on strike for this next over. 164 for 7, the West Indies. England need 3 wickets, and the number of overs remaining 27.
Yep, new ball up the sleeve, but England would like to get them before that. Kemar Roach has improved for me, though. I think when I've seen him 2 or 3 years ago, he was I wouldn't say a walking wicket, but looked to play a few shots. But he's actually been obviously working on his defence in the nets and what have you, and he doesn't look too bad. Gets himself in a decent position, and especially with an old ball and a dry pitch that isn't doing too much. You know, might be a bit of a stumbling block for England. They want to get him out as soon as possible.
New ball available in 22 overs.
Yeah, still got a long time to
It's a
go.
long way. It's a long way away. But when you decide to shut up shop on this pitch, if it isn't doing too much, I think it's can be manageable.
Yeah, and you have a bit of resolve, you know, and
Yeah.
just want to not play the shots. I think that's why he's coming in front of Elzari Joseph, because he looks like he likes to play his shots, as we saw when he did Night Watchman.
He might have been a good move if they were getting close to the target.
Yes, not now.
Broad comes in on angle to Roach, who's forward and defending it to the leg side.
All the time in the world, you see.
Yeah.
Oh. And I'm afraid to say, when the ball gets old and there's not a lot in it for the seam bowlers, this is where your finger spinner's got to come into it and make a contribution. 1 or 2 wickets. Well, obviously you'd be thinking, 4 or 5 wickets, but even if it's 1 or 2 wickets, just to take the pressure off the seamers. Afraid he hasn't done that, Dom. He'll be disappointed.
Plenty of footmarks that have appeared as Broad bowls full to Roach, pats the back ball back to him.
Bess has now bowled 56.4 overs in 4th innings of tests and only taken 1 wicket. for 160. So 13 of his 14 wickets have been first, second and third innings. We struggled in the fourth.
Yeah, which is where you should be doing your work, earning your corn.
So you anticipate a change, do you, for the
Well, I
third
think,
test?
yeah,
Broad bowls to Roach, who plays inside the line.
Yeah, he did. I just think also as well, just because the amount of, and we've been going through the stats with Andy about right-handers, only one left-hander, so you've just got to go with the left-arm spinner, I think. Just makes sense, doesn't it?
Especially when you can use Joe Root as an option.
Well, there you go.
Well.
Joe's not bad.
And he can get revs on the ball.
Yeah, he does all right.
Yeah. 2 slips in play for Roach. As Broad strides in now, bowls, and another forward press, pushing that to mid-off.
Oh, solid.
Roach,
Kemar.
Just back right out in front.
Sorry,
Andy.
since December 2017, he's averaged 21 in Test cricket with the bat.
Yeah.
361 runs, 26 innings, 9 not outs. And prior to that, he'd averaged under 10, so significantly improved, as you were saying.
Yeah. Yep. You can see just in his setup and his stance, digging in for his side here.
Bat lofted high as Roach comes across the stumps, and again head down as he's wide over the ball, playing it back to Stuart Broad, who now strides back to the top of his mark. Wind blowing here at Old Trafford, a nice breeze across the ground from left to right as we look at it, Tuffers. Grey clouds in the distance, a couple of spots.
Have they left the right clouds?
Have they left the right clouds? As Broad has passed the umpire to Roach, who looked uncomfortable as he played that. Just an extra bit of bounce as he manages to defend it back to the bowler, as Broad just offers us a few football skills, lifting it up with his right foot and then bouncing it between his feet and knocking it over to mid-wicket Joe Denley position there, as Chris Wokes comes back onto the field. Sam Curran will continue then from the Brian Statham end. 3 wickets then, that's the equation. England need 3 wickets.
Look at Stuart Broad. The 2 headband players, it looks like sort of, a Karate Kid and his master. You know what I mean? They just had a little chat there.
Got another emergency stat for you, Tuffers.
Well, don't waste it.
Do you want me to hold it?
Still got a couple of changeovers to go yet.
Curran bowls, Holder pulls out to deep backwards square, past the man out there who's about 20 metres off the boundary. He'll pick up 4. Will Jason Holder, and was easily played. The West Indies go to 168 for 7.
Go on,
Andy?
let's have it.
Shamar Brooks out for 60 in both innings. He's the first visiting batsman to be out for 60 in both innings in a test in England since Sunil Gavaskar at Edgbaston in 1979, and he's joined a pretty illustrious list of players who've been out for 60 in 2 innings of a test in England. Ian Bell and John Edrich for England. I'll finish the list after this ball. There's been a slight delay. Roy Fredericks for the West Indies, Arthur Morris and Everson Weeks, who recently died, the great West Indian.
Holder inside edges it out to deep backward square. A good length delivery. Curran bowling around the wicket, angling it in. Comes through for 1.
Who knew? Who knew 60?
Who needed to know?
No, I'm absolutely enthralled.
You're going to make a stats pack one day, aren't you?
Oh, no, 60.
From 1 to 100, everyone that's got out on 1 in both innings, 2 in both innings.
Is there a number what hasn't gone out in both innings?
Oh, in both innings. In the 60s in both innings.
He's got 3 days in between tests.
Well,
I'm sure we'll be able to work it out. Yeah.
Got something to do. Lonely nights.
Curran around the wicket to Roach, who looks to flirt at that one outside the off stump, driving it through the offside, misses it completely through to Butler. Ooh. That didn't look like someone who's blocked lots of deliveries.
No, there was no need for that. Very wide, wasn't it? And is there a bit of reverse swing perhaps happening now? Quite an abrasive looking surface, isn't it? Buffer dust. Yeah, leave those alone.
It's looking very grey, that surface.
Yeah, it is.
As Curran bowls, Roach turns it around the corner, past the umpire at square leg as mid-wicket chases after it. Throw comes in, they pick up 1. Off strike is Roach.
Did you find your golf clubs, Ish?
No.
No? Oh, no.
To be honest, I don't actually own any golf
No,
clubs.
I'll find
but
some clubs.
Yeah, I wanted to find some because we've got a 3-day break here. I'm staying up here, and I was hoping to borrow some. Sterilised, of course.
Yes.
But you need a certain size, don't you? As
Well,
someone who's 5'1".
It's handy. Like when you have a cricket bat that's a bit too big for you when you're a kid, you know.
As Curran bowls full to Holder, who squeezes it out to the offside. Yep, definitely know what that feels like. I used to have a long handle.
Did you? Did you?
As a 10-year-old.
Really?
No, it was a short handle, but it felt incredibly long. I ended up going with a Harrow.
Yes, nice little bats they are.
But you could never get a good Harrow with good wood.
Right.
You had to spend a lot of money. Well, they just weren't available.
No.
It was so rare to get
Yeah.
a Harrow.
Bit of a chair leg.
Holder defends to the leg side. At the end of the over, it's 170 for 7 until late on in mine.
There's some. We've seen some here. What are they? Fisher Price.
Our producer Adam has just posted a picture of some that I might be able to use.
Oh.
A plastic set.
Yeah, you'd be good. I reckon you'd be a
Might
good
actually
golf.
help me get it off the tee.
The ladies' golf, the pros ladies' golf is amazing.
Yeah.
The last, what was it, Solheim Cup at Glen Eagles. Was it Glen Eagles? Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was Glen Eagles. But amazing. What was it? Suzanne Petterson on the last green to win it. It was fabulous viewing. I mean, probably just one of the best you'll ever see.
It is an incredible sport.
Oh, we
isn't
are
it?
having a bit of Don Bess.
Yeah, we are. 25 overs remaining. England need 3 wickets.
Glen Eagles, I can't remember anyway. Don Bess is coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Glen Eagles. Well done. Point.
I mentioned those.
I'm doing that later. Question of sport.
Yeah.
Got to do that next
Oh.
week. Yeah, that's back. I
Do
think.
you revise for that? Do you spend like a few days just
of course.
getting
Head buried in journals.
I can imagine Dawes.
Yeah.
He's the sort of person that revises. As
Right.
Don Bess is coming in now to
Yeah.
Kemar Roach, men around the bat as he plays it forwards. He's got a slip. What a silly point.
What?
Short leg.
Good.
I could sit in the audience coughing for you if you want.
Yes, that's right. Yes. What was that? That was old Millionaire, wasn't it?
Yeah, as Roach drives, hits Ben Stokes, silly point.
The Colonel. Was it the Colonel or something? Or the Major? Who was it? Is it A? B? Charles Ingram. That's right, Charles Ingram.
As Bess bowls to Roach, who's smothering the ball back down the pitch.
This is where you've got to toss it up a bit as a spinner. You know, the old tail enders.
Do-do-do.
Yeah, well, yeah, they just sort of get a little bit confused. If it's on them, they can block it.
You
When
don't-
it's up
yeah.
there, they've got a little bit
Lots
too
of time.
Yeah, too much time to think, and things can go wrong, and inside edges happen. So don't be afraid to toss it
Well,
up.
that's quite flat as Roach sweeps, finds his way to short fine. Curran comes around, no run is taken.
Yeah. I've been talking about it all day, really. I think it's just bowled a bit too fast, Isha, and a bit too flat. I mean, that might have been the arm ball, but just not quite well directed enough. Just toss it up a bit slower.
Bess through his action
That's a bit better.
as Roach defends to the offside. Yeah.
That might be the end of Stuart Broad, do you think? Till the last
new ball.
blast.
Yep.
So he's going to have perhaps...
He'll probably have, I reckon he'll have 1 or 2 with the old ball before
Yeah.
he comes back on with the new, because
Yeah.
you want to get it right, don't you? As
Yeah.
Bess, bowling from the James Anderson end, bowls now to Roach, who's forward and covering the ball to the offside at the end of the over, safely negotiated. And 3 wickets for England to level this series, but time is running out. 24 more overs remaining. England do have 5 overs with the new ball. And all these questions will be asked.
Realistically, when the new ball comes around, you only want to be getting... Well, you kind of think Shannon Gabriel would kind of submit to the new ball. You don't want to be getting particularly 3 wickets with it. 2 would be nice. So England need to get one more.
2 wickets in 5 overs.
Yeah, with the new pill, you might just fancy that.
That's why I thought they might go for they might declare maybe 3 overs earlier and have
Well,
8
we
overs with a
said
new
this.
ball.
Yeah, we did say this. Very difficult, very different, sorry, sitting up here when you haven't got all those connotations going on in your head. But a little bit of Ben Stokes. And when you've got a fella who's about 6'10" on a flattish, sort of slow pitch, the ball not doing much and soft, it's very difficult to try and sort of force him back. That's where Jason Holder's got the upper hand on this seam bowling attack. You know.
The battle of the all-rounders continues. Ben Stokes, he's had a fabulous test match. Here he comes now. The talisman, what can he do? He's running away from us towards Jason Holder. He bowls. Holder off the back foot, punching. Point dives to his left to stop the ball. Don Bess in there as no run is taken.
Yeah, it's difficult to rush him, isn't it? Difficult to sort of get anything around his rib cage and sort of like, and sort of throw his hands at it.
He did have a go in that first innings at Southampton. He bowled a short ball, which
Hooked it, yeah.
Yeah, Jason Holder
Won't be doing that now,
went
will he, do you
after.
think?
No, well, sometimes if you're a compulsive hooker,
Well, you might do.
might be the ego coming into play. As Holder is backing across and defending to the offside. A good leg delivery on off stump. Man's just gone out to deep point. He's got a deep backward square and fine leg on the boundary as the ball gets tossed between the fielders.
No, he looks like he is, what's the word? Encamped.
Yeah.
He's not.
Well, there's so much on the line.
Yeah,
Wisdom Trophy on the line.
yeah. He's not going to be. I don't think he's going to be taking on the pull or hook shot.
Bat hovering Holder as he works it past short leg out to the deep mid wicket boundary. He'll push the 1 and come back comfortably for the 2 as Wokes comes around to his left, collects it with his right arm and his right hand and throws it in. And a shake of the head from Ben Stokes.
Yeah, that ball's gone soft. You can just tell by his expression. No kick or zip off the pitch.
He'll find something.
Well, he usually
He
does.
will find something,
Yeah,
Ben
he-
Stokes.
yeah.
If you're just tuning in, there was an over where he got the breakthrough as he pushes away now, Stokes, towards Holder. Bowls short, it goes through, and Holder allows it to pass. That was the tester. It's probably a bit too short in the end, and down the leg side.
Yeah.
But Stokes was bowling from the James Anderson end. He was in amongst his 11 over spell. He didn't have anyone down the ground at mid-off and mid-on. The ball was played back past him. He sprinted after it. He sprinted to the boundary with all his effort. He manages to stop it from going for 4 as he bowls now to Holder, who leaves outside the off stump. And then a few balls later, he gets the breakthrough of Jermaine Blackwood.
Did it go for 4?
No, it didn't.
Did they run 4?
Oh, did it? Oh, did it?
I think it was signalled
I was
as
watching
4,
on the
yeah.
TV screen
It was
with no
signalled
sound.
as 4. It was signalled as 4. All that effort. He could have
Oh,
just. Oh no.
But if he'd saved the 3, then maybe the wicket wouldn't have fallen. So good
Yeah.
tactics, my lad.
Yeah. No need to run though. No need to do all the running
Well,
after it.
they were tied out, weren't they? As Holder drives
That was close.
inside part of the bat as he comes through for the 1. At the end of the over, Jason Holder will retain the strike. 23 overs then remaining, and England need 3 wickets. Will they be able to do it? Phil Tufnell, a few more words from you, and then it will be Jonathan Agnew.
Well, it's getting closer and closer. Every over ticking by puts a little bit more pressure on this England side. You start getting a bit tense in the field as well when you're looking for wickets and they're not coming. So it's not just the batsman. Aggers afternoon.
Just nicked the strike there, didn't
I
they?
know.
I don't think they were quite aware of that. So a little push and run, and the single taken. There's still plenty of time here. Still 23 overs to go.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Lights okay. The floodlights are off. Blue sky, more or less blue sky anyway in the distance. Cloud as well. It could be a lot worse. And Holder resisting determinedly. He's waiting for best from that far end. Tousley haired, he bowls one that doesn't really turn very much, takes the outside part of the bat and runs down for Stokes to field, coming out of slip. So 3 wickets for England to win. Roach at the other end, and not much resistance waiting below us. That's what they'll have in their mind. Alzarri Joseph, that was excitable night watchman innings we saw earlier in the game. Best moves in, bowls, and Holder drives beautifully for 4. Out through extra cover. Silence, of course, as the ball pursued, I suspect, by Sibley in the distance, all the way down to the boundary. He's going to fetch it and throw it back himself. And Holder, meanwhile, just paws at the ground with his right boot and waits for everyone to return to normal. Best blows into his right hand. He spins himself a couple of catches, walks in. What's Holder going to do this time? Oh, he's gone for a big hit.
Oh.
And I mean a really big hit, straight down the ground, 6 into the seats of the pavilion. Well, that was unexpected.
Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of ways to save a test match. But my word, he's just smashed Bess over his head for 6. And now Stuart Broad he's got to get over the advertising hoardings and go and find the ball that has actually happily, it's rolled down the seats there, the terracing, if you like, so you can pick it up quite easily. But there's no one to throw the ball back. What a shame. That would have scattered the members. That would have been quite exciting, wouldn't it? Because there would have been a few people there diving for cover under normal circumstances.
God, it would have looked a bit silly if he'd have got a little top edge on that or something, gone straight up.
I wasn't expecting that. No. 183 for 7. Holder's on 35 now from 60 balls. Best moves in bowls to him. Oh, catch it, they shout as that pops up into the leg side, but past Pope at short leg. And Don Bess, there's a touch of the Andy Zoltzman's about his hair now, isn't there? I suspect that began life about 6 weeks ago. It's quite a trendy haircut. And he comes from the far end over the wicket. Bowls a very quick one. It's gone straight through. It's bowled him. And that was a much quicker ball. And it's fizzed straight through Holder's defence. And he can't believe it. And he's walking off now. Well, they're going to need something to drag him off the field, I think. But that just, well, it was a quick ball, as we called it, and just went straight through. It'd be interesting to see if it turned or not at the same time. It did a bit, just enough, went through bat and pad, and that, you imagine, is the match-winning wicket, because there's not much below.
Didn't Don Bess enjoy that?
Yes,
got the length right, as you say. He's been just a shade too full with his lengths for me, but got that length right, got that good fizz and dip on it. The gate was left open by Jason Holder, and Don Bess rushed through it. It was a great delivery. What England needed, they'll feel now they're really in this game.
With that quick ball. I mean, he bowls quite flat anyway.
Yes, he does bowl flat.
But that one, really, well, it was seriously.
Yeah, he needed that, Don Bess, as well. You could just see that he was feeling a little bit low in himself. And you could tell by his reaction. Now, this will be interesting. Alzarri Joseph to the spinner.
Well, it will. Out he comes. He's got his arm guard on. The Archangel will be strapping up as well down there.
Well, we don't mind that.
No, we don't. We're not expecting much resistance from him.
No, great delivery. I'm delighted for Don Bess there, because I could just see him as a spinner. You're in the 4th innings and you haven't got a wicket, haven't made the breakthrough, and to do it in that style was an absolute beauty. Absolute beauty, and that's what's there in this pitch.
You're fired up, tough as I see your eyes.
Well, no, I mean, because I was just sort of thinking, I hate these games when you're on the edge of your seat, and I've been in a few of these when you haven't managed to get over the line and they stay with you for a couple of weeks,
Yeah.
If we'd have just held that catch, if we'd have, just done this or just bowled a bit better there. So, and it's going to set it up beautifully.
Well, it will. Yeah.
Set it up, absolutely.
Friday.
Yeah.
The deciding test match. Well, all being well, but that did turn, hit the middle stump. But it was that speed too that he bowled it. Really,
that's the length, John. It's the length. It's the length that he's got right there. He's been too full all game, and he's just got that length perfect.
Long shadows now across Old Trafford as Joseph prepares to face Bess. There's 3 men around the back plus the keeper. Down they go.
Ooh.
Joseph's forward, runs away down into the gully. Bit of uncertainty there between the two batsmen about that run, but they make it, and it means that Joseph will be on strike for the start of the next over. So Don Bess has his wicket at 184 for 8.
Well bowled.
England need 2 wickets to win the game, and it was all a bit odd because it was Holder. He smashed him for 6, and then next ball, boom, bowled through the gate. So England change ends, as it were. See Ben Stokes preparing himself to bowl from this end, the media centre end, the Statham end of the ground. Tufts has gone over time. He's got to go and work somewhere else, so he's scampering off. Probably going to do an insightful piece to camera for the highlights or something. And Stokes will bowl to Joseph with an interesting field. The short leg slip. 2 men out on the hook, if you can call it that, from Joseph. We shall wait and see. He might be tested, because Stokes is on his way. Over the wicket he goes and bowls short, and Joseph ducks underneath it. Doesn't get up very high. Butler takes it round about his knees, tosses the ball on to root at slip. And there's a gully fieldsman point, extra cover. And that leg side, as I mentioned, with a man out at deep square leg. Stokes really worked hard again today. Over after over of short stuff. On his way to Joseph. He's there now. Bowls short again to him. And Joseph once more ducks underneath that. Ball flies harmlessly into Butler's gloves. Michael Vaughan's here.
Good evening. That last over from Don Best had pretty much everything. It had a glorious cover drive. It had a big blow down the ground, and then a beauty. Bit of drift. Just catching the footholds through the gate. Jason Holder couldn't believe it.
No, he really couldn't.
I reckon if he sees it again, he could have played it a lot better. I don't think he smothered it anywhere near.
Nice big gate, wasn't there?
Yeah, I don't think he didn't get forward with his hands.
Straight through it. Stokes runs up, bowls to Joseph, ball thumps into his pad. And Pope strides in from short leg to pick the ball up, toss it away to Sam Curran, who gets to work with a handkerchief by the look of it, a white rag that he pulled out of his pocket. He's rubbing that ball on the back of his trousers.
Do you think that white rag might be his headband?
Ah, actually could be, you're right. Oh, with the sweat on it, still.
Just a thought.
Very good thought. Stokes over the wicket, bowls, and again, short of a length, ball climbs up and hits Joseph round about the thigh pad. And again, Pope can come up and field. This is a little sort of reservoir of sweat. I mean, it's a disgusting thought, but I suppose if you are wearing a headband, and they're very in at the moment.
Look at the tape on Alzari Joseph's elbow. Look at the black and white tape. Not seen that before.
Well, he's over his bat. I think he fancies himself as a batsman, this fellow. Certainly played a few shots as night watchman. Stokes bowls very full, and look at that, an immaculate straight drive. Wow. The ball was pitched up, it was full and straight, and he's just absolutely met it with the straightest of bats. Lovely shot.
Well, he aligns nicely. Little trigger. It's in a good position. Uses the top end gloriously. Gets that weight transferred back towards the ball. And you think he's had a bouncer or two, and he's got under the bouncers nicely. It's always the challenge of a tail ender. Can you get back into a full of length delivery? Well, that was perfection.
Yeah. Stokes won't be very pleased. He runs in and bowls full. He's driven again, but doesn't time this. And Stokes flicks that underhand. In fact, he's flicked it so wildly that he's given away a run. That flew past Butler. I was a bit surprised to see it, I think. Ended up at fine leg. One of those underhand. If you remember, I was a bit cruel mentioning this, but if you remember Geoffrey Boycott's ruthless running out of Derek Randall at Trent Bridge in 1977, it was the same sort of underhand flick that Jeff Thompson used. He was the bowler, and it was the most incredible casual backhand flick like that to run poor old Derek out by yards.
That was 43 years ago.
Well, it was. 43 years. God, it's like it was yesterday. Boycott scored 100. Actually, it was a 98th first-class 100. It set him up for his 100th. Now, Bess again spins himself a catch or two and is coming in now and bowling, and there's an appeal for leg before wicket. Semi-confident. I wouldn't say he's any more than semi-confident. As the batsman there sort of lobbed half forward. Where's Joe Root? He's not around.
Is it mid-off?
Is it mid-off? Yeah. Oh, I think he's going to review it, is he? Yes, he is.
Well, they've got two left.
Yeah.
May as well. I mean,
TV umpire.
He prodded half forward to be
straight, though, I
For
guess.
LBW, the original decision is not out.
Listen to Richard
See the front
Kettlebrook.
foot first, please.
I don't imagine it'll be a no ball.
I don't understand why he didn't play.
Thank you. Fair delivery. There's been no shot played.
Well, this could be the key factor to this. No shot played.
Okay, clearly no shot played. So we'll go to ball tracking when ready.
Where's leg stump involved in this, I wonder? It did turn, and we can see off stump from the replay. Let's have a look. He's prodding forward. And wicket's missing, leg stump. It's not a bad effort to shoulder arms.
And wickets is missing.
To a pretty straight ball. It doesn't turn very much, so it's missing leg.
He knew how much it was bouncing.
You don't see that very often. I think they're probably right to review that, but they didn't get an umpire's call out of it. That was most unusual. But I think Joseph's that sort of batsman. Bess again with very long, tufty hair comes in and bowls to Joseph. That turns, catch it, they shout. Another appeal for a catch, and up goes the finger, and Joseph immediately reviews it. So he doesn't think he's got anything
TV
on this.
Umpire to director. Player review for court. The original decision is out.
Well, it's all happening.
The front foot first, please.
He's been busy, Richard Kettleborough, the third umpire.
Well, he has. England's body language, are they jumping about with glee?
No, I mean, Azhar Joseph reviewed it straight away.
That's a fair delivery.
Generally an indication. I don't always trust tail enders, though.
No. Well, let's have a look. And we're watching now nice and close.
Keep that rolling
That's
through.
nowhere near it, I think, is it?
Okay, I'm going to need to see ultra edge when available on this, please.
I don't think it's anywhere near this. It certainly hits the flap of the pad.
Nowhere near.
And then thigh pad. I think he's missed
Keep
that
that
by
rolling
miles.
through, please. Keep that rolling through. Keep that rolling through. There's a clear gap between bat and ball. Just keep it rolling through, please, to make sure it doesn't clip the glove on the way through.
England have given up. They've resumed their positions.
Okay, clearly no bat involved. So the decision on court is not out, but I'm going to have to check the LBW as well, please.
Oh, of course.
And starting with the original decision of not out.
That's spinning down the leg side, I would suggest.
Okay, pitching outside off, impact in line.
I think the umpires generally have had two good games. That's quite a poor decision, actually.
Yeah, that's a long way off, isn't it?
Return your decision, you're on camera.
No, that's a poor one. Long day, long match, and everyone makes mistakes. So that was not a good decision. 189 for 8, so Best continues. Some pressure on Joseph, though. How's he going to respond? Well, he's on the front foot, driving into the offside. And there's no run. And the sun is back with us. It's not a warm sun, but at least it's here. We've got the shadow of the pylon reaching across the ground. Shame it wasn't here on the third day, isn't it? Here's Bess again. Oh, he's gone for a swipe. Thought it was coming. And he's heaved this down the ground to Stuart Broad, lurking on the edge of the shadow. It's a semi-long on, I'd call that. So not all the way back. Just leaving enough of a tempter for Joseph to try and hit over the top. Bess again moves in, bowls to Roach, who plays that, smothers it, and plays that away into the offside. Brace yourselves on long wave, because the shipping forecast is on the way after this ball, I think. Yes, there's one more ball to go, so then off and find out what's happening on the high seas. As Bess over the wicket comes in, bowls, and that's very comfortably played by Roach. Commentary continues on 5 Live Sports Extra, that's on digital radio and via the BBC Sounds app, of course. But as promised, here comes the shipping forecast for our long wave listeners. 190 for 8. England need 2 wickets. The overs remaining is 20, so there's lots of time. Hour and a quarter, I guess that works out as, if we're talking in hours and minutes rather than just overs. But of course, overs is the determining factor these days.
Yeah, 5 of those are with the second new ball if they get to that.
Yes.
So England have got plenty of time. I want to wrap it up quickly, though.
Stokes on his way, and he's bowling to Joseph. Oh, good ball that. Full length, moved away, bounced, and all too good for Joseph, who's now actually standing in the shadow of the pylon from the left.
Just on the Sam Curran headband potentially being in the pocket, and that's a semi-tactic that you would use in these times.
Well, perhaps you'd have
sweat on the ball.
Well, if everybody wore a sweatband and they all put them in the pockets, you'd have sort of a store, wouldn't you? But then, I don't know if you can do that socially distanced with other people's sweat or not. There's a bouncer, and batsman ducks underneath that.
So just your headband, you make sure that you sweat obviously when you bowl, and then you put the sweaty one in the pocket, and that's your chance to put a bit on the ball.
It's like a squirrel with his nuts. Store it away for later, don't you?
Absolutely.
190 for 8. Stokes has got a shadow extending to his right now as he turns. Broad's just called for a sun hat there, so he's at mid-on. As Stokes moves in, bowls full, a slower ball that, and has driven hard into the offside. I don't think it'll go for 4. It didn't time it particularly. 71 miles an hour, that, so noticeably a slower ball. And Joseph moves to 9.
Yeah, I think that's good from Ben Stokes. Tail enders, just vary your pace. Offer them a few juicy ones, you know that they're going to take the carrot.
It's very well groomed these days, Ben, doesn't he? Not quite as, perhaps not quite as thin as he used to. He's found the magic elixir. Off he goes over the wicket and bowls, and it's fended away. The peel for leg before wicket from behind the stumps, and nothing from Stokes.
What do you mean groomed?
Well, there's a lot of it. It looks a bit more like a lion's mane these days.
There's a lot of them, isn't it? Chris Wokes, he's got a good head of hair. The skipper himself, Joe Roots.
Yeah.
Jimmy Anderson, that's nice and thick. Jimmy's. It's also had a bit of a colour change, I've noticed.
It's certainly darker.
Yeah, just a bit of Grecian on there.
Yeah.
Why not?
All sorts of curious hairdos because, of course, there's a total lack of a barber, as we know. So there's been some imagination shown. 192 for 8. Stokes strides out, moves in, bowls to Joseph, who gets an inside edge. The ball runs back towards his stumps, doesn't actually hit them. And Stokes has a smile at his face as Pope picks the ball up. 2 wickets for England to win.
I do think Alzarri Joseph, in time, if he plays a lot more, he will have a few nice scores in Test cricket. I think he shapes quite well. It's obviously one of the reasons he bats down the bottom. It may be concentration and shot selection. That's why you end up batting down at number 10. But in terms of alignment, everything that's going for him, he shapes up okay.
Welcome back to our long wave listeners. You haven't missed a great deal. Certainly no wickets as Stokes comes in, bowls, and that's caught at point. And Stokes strikes again, bowling a full length, and Joseph has simply sliced that straight to Bess, fielding at point. A firm catch. And now West Indies are 9 down, and there's only the Archangel to save them, and I think that's unlikely.
Well, I said he was shaping up okay, and then that's a typical tail ender that sees a half volley. Full credit to Ben Stokes. You go back to earlier in the over where he bowled that half volley slow ball, and he put it through the covers for a couple. Well, that was a similar length, but a bit quicker, and he was late on it. That's why it went square of the wicket in the air to Don Bess. It only just stuck in to Don Bess's hands. Alzarri Joseph with a long walk off. He's a slow walker off for his Alzarri.
Well, so I think he rates himself as a batsman.
Yeah, I do think in time he will get a few test runs. You know, he shapes up okay. It's just picking the right balls to try and whack. Doesn't seem to pick the right ones at the minute, but in terms of alignment, bat lift, head position, it's not too bad, and I think he'll have a bit of a time where he gets a few runs. See Don Bess there. He's.
I think he took that nicely. It's that horrible height, fingers up, fingers down, that it went quite flat and firmly at him.
Here's your pal.
Here he
comes.
Well, I'm not sure if we'll see Shannon Gabriel in the next test because he's just about. I think he's blown his stack really in these 2 games.
Because if you just look beyond the hotel, there a new crane has arrived to get him out of bed in the morning.
Poor chap. I mean, he has given it everything, hasn't he? So I suspect this might be the last we see of him for a little while. But he's wandering out.
I think we'll see Rakeem Cornwall, the off spinner. He's been doing a lot of bowling.
He has. It's one of the slowest appearances at the crease I can remember, and Gabriel's finally got there. He's heading off to the non-striker's end, so he's still got a bit of a distance to go because that was the last ball of Stokes' over. At 192 for 9, England need 1 wicket.
It's been a good last 10 minutes for Don Bess with a wicket, a good catch. Can he finish the test match with a second wicket? He's not had an easy day, he's not bowled brilliantly, but if you pick up a couple at the end.
Here goes Bess. Bowls down the leg side it goes. It's missing Joss Butler's gloves. And it'll roll down towards the boundary below us here. Has it gone for 4? We can't see because of the camera gantry. But leg byes have been indicated. They took 2 of them.
Yeah, just a slight worry for the West Indies that there was 3 there. And Kemar Roach is going to try and keep the strike to make sure that Shannon Gabriel doesn't get on strike. It's going to be quite an effort for the next 15 to 17 overs, whatever's left.
Best bowls and Roach groups at that. Goes past the outside edge, but they whip the bails off actually.
How many overs left? 18.
Oh, loads, yes. And there's The 118 to win. That overs left has vanished off that scoreboard for some reason. There's the next one, pushed away towards short leg. 194 for 9.
I think it is 18 and a half left.
There it is, I found it. Bottom left-hand corner. 18 and a half overs. Best moves in. Bowls to Roach. It's edged. It lands just in front of Stokes at slip. Didn't quite carry.
He's been better, hasn't he? Don Best from the Jimmy Anderson end.
Yes,
A bit more shape, a bit more dip. Just getting his line better as well, just outside that off stump. A bit more there for him in terms of rough.
194 for 9. Best strides in from the far end and bowls in the sunshine. And again, Roach leans on it, pushes it out to extra cover. I think Gabriel might be getting a little bit anxious. There's one ball to go, and he's got Ben Stokes at slip, loose, ready, fired up to finish things off. And that one turned very sharply, took the glove, and runs away harmlessly. Just Pope at forward short leg to end the over. And Stokes is already walking to his mark. And it'll be him versus Gabriel. And the odds, I think, stacked pretty firmly in Stokes' favour. The two batsmen have a conference. I'm not sure how you'd brief Shannon Gabriel at the start of an innings. Is there anything that you'd necessarily hand on to him at this stage?
Just advise him, on the end of the bat to be holding, just so he knows.
So fairly basic stuff.
Yeah, and no, there's not a great deal you can tell him. So just, I don't know, watch the ball. Always helps. What are you giving him?
I'm not giving him a lot of chance.
No. Over 5 balls.
The way he takes guard is extraordinary. They did that there with his bat at a very strange angle. So goodness, what he's standing on, I don't know, but it looks to be outside off stump at the moment. In goes Stokes, and he bowls to Gabriel, who gets very nicely into line. There's nothing wrong with that. And plays that defensively back to Stokes. Well, that was like one of Jeffrey's sticks of rhubarb.
You love tailenders.
Well, you love the fact that you know that burning inside is a desire to do something.
Yeah, it's just
something exciting. You want to prove that you can bat. There's only one slip there. There's quite a lot gathered on the leg side. Short leg slip. 194 for 9. England need 1 wicket as Stokes goes in and bowls a bouncer at the big fellow. Well, he gets underneath it quite neatly. And goes off for a little think about things at short leg.
He's having a chat to Ollie Pope.
I think he is having a chat with Ollie Pope, who laughs. I think Shannon's just cracked a joke.
I mean, most players who play at this level, they go to square leg and back because they're in a routine. You remember Jonathan Trott's routine?
Yes.
I'm not too sure that's Shannon Gabriel's routine. I don't think he has one.
No, but he definitely made Pope laugh there. 4 balls to go in the over. Stokes cruises in, is there, and he bowls to Gabriel, another bouncer, which he gets underneath, again quite easily. Pope this time's turned his back on him, and Gabriel again is moving to within speaking range. I don't think he's talking to him this time.
It's all very friendly. I think he had a little word with Ben Stokes there. He almost said to him, Ben, I think you just need to aim for the 3 pieces of wood behind me.
Yeah. 3 balls to go in this over. 194 for 9. England want this 1 wicket. Gabriel's on strike. Stokes is there and fires one down the leg side. Wasn't going to inconvenience Gabriel at all. Again, he's looking a bit more relaxed now. Goes for another stroll. He's in the sunshine. He's got a lot to do. It's an awful thing, actually. He's at number 11 in this situation.
Well, not only that, because just look at the shadow from the floodlight right across the length.
Yep.
Down at the Jimmy Anderson end. So not only is he a tail ender, number 11, he's got a nice shadow to look down the wicket. I don't know what's going on here. I think Ben Stokes has done something. He's going to have to come off.
I think he might have done. He's called up Joe Root. There's a bit of a hobble there, I'm afraid. Joe Root is walking up looking concerned from slip. And the hirsute Stokes is saying something to him. Stuart Broad's in attendance. And it looks as if Joe Root is going to complete this over. And what is slightly bizarre is that Stokes isn't going to go off by the look of it.
That's what got off. I mean, I think he just pointed down to his groin. There's been many times over the last few years that Ben Stokes, you feel whether he's dived or gone off the field, even in the First instant we thought, oh, what's wrong? And it was indigestion. Whereas this does look like there might be something wrong with his.
Well, we'll tell with the replays now. And watching, and he grimaced there as he bowled probably that last ball. So Joe Root is going to complete the over, and I suspect this might be rather more to Shannon's liking. We've got men scattering into the leg side. There's a short leg, silly point, and Stokes is still on the field at slip. Joe Root's taken 28 wickets in his Test career. He's got 2 balls of this over. Gabriel's on strike. In goes Root, bowling his off spin. That turns towards the number 11, who plays that very comfortably, leaning forward. That's picked up in the offside.
I've not seen Gabriel against spin too much. What's his
well, it was
method?
Why did he do that? I think was a classic spin moment, wasn't it?
Yes,
we might get one of those in a minute. In goes Root, and he bowls to Gabriel. That spins, but no, he plays it very responsibly off the back foot, and it's picked up there at short leg. So there's 1 wicket to go. Michael, I shall be heading off when that wicket falls down to our area to interview the captains and so on. And Simon Mann is coming in here after some thoughts from you.
If Ben Stokes needed any more headlines, I'm pretty sure he'll be man of the match in this game. All the talk for the next couple of days will be about Ben Stokes and what has he done to his body. He comes through things very quickly. Just a slight bit of concern from an England perspective over the course of the next couple of days, leading into the 3rd Test, which starts on Friday. Good evening, Simon.
Good evening, Michael. Right, 17 overs left. England need 1 wicket. West Indies need too many runs. Here's Best bowling to Roach. Roach turns that quietly into the onside towards mid-wicket, and there's no run. And they know that if West Indies do resist for a while, then they've got that second new ball. 5 overs with the second new ball. Well, that's 10 or so overs away. This is Best into bowl to Roach, and Roach is struck on the pad. Just shout for LBW. Not out, says umpire Illingworth. He looked as if he was outside the line there. England have 1 review left. The DRS timer is up on the scoreboard, but England are not interested. West Indies still have 3 reviews left. They burnt off their bowling reviews in about 11 balls this morning, really to waste time. This is Best looking for his 2nd wicket of the innings. Bowls to Roach, and Roach is beaten there outside the off stump. He's pushing at it past the outside edge.
That's beautiful bowling. Again, that right foot of Josh Buttler is the line. On that occasion, it just went on with the arm.
Best again to Roach. England needing 1 wicket. There's another shout for LBW. Roach outside the line again there as he pushed forward. Ball ballooned into the onside, picked up by Pope away to his left at short leg. England have a short leg, a silly point and a slip. There's a man out as well at cow corner just in case Roach is tempted to take it on to sway him. Here is Bess bowling to Roach, slings that one down. Again he's struck on the pad outside the line. Ball ballooned away into the offside, and there's no run. How many balls left in this over? 1. So England keen here to keep Gabriel for the next over, although he played the last over pretty well. Now Bess is changing his line of attack. He's coming around the wicket, and so Crawl is coming across from cover to leg slip. Well, this brings LBW a bit more into play for Dominic Bess here. Bess moves in and bowls to Roach, and Roach swings him away on the leg side, and that's gone away for 4. That's an interesting way to end the over. Thwack out to deep back of square leg. No nonsense blow from Kemar Roach. 198 for 9. England need 1 wicket to win, and there are now 16 overs left. So after 1 more over, we will be into the last hour of this Test match.
Ben Stokes, the 5th player in Test history to score 250 runs and take 3 wickets in a Test. After Tilakarani Dilshan for Sri Lanka, Sanath Jayasuriya also for Sri Lanka against India in Colombo. When the match he made 340 in 1997. Vinu Mankad of India back in the early 50s, and Frank Worrell, great West Indian batsman who also bowled handy seam in 1950 against England at Trent Bridge. So a niche club, but a pretty good one.
Yeah, definitely. Brilliant game for Ben Stokes. Here's Root continuing. Bowls to Gabriel, who hits it firmly off the back foot up towards mid-on. And there is no run. Root likes to get through his overs quickly, almost runs back to his mark.
Got a attempt in here, and it get one above the eye line.
Yep. Root moves in, bowls to Gabriel. That's flat and goes past the outside edge, fizzes through past that outside edge. Gabriel lunged forward and missed it. There is a deep mid-wicket, but mid-off and mid-on are up. Are we going to get a why did he do that moment? Root bowls, and that one spins into Gabriel. He's forward, blocking it.
That was getting
him on the pad. It was, yeah. And you had a guy at the other end, I think it was Roston Chase on 100, who'd faced the last over of the game if he just survived that one ball. Root bowls to Gabriel. And Gabriel is forward, keeping it out of his stumps. Bit of bat, bit of pad.
It's coming. It's coming.
Root. Ball in hand, in the sunshine. Bowls to Gabriel. Slower delivery. Gabriel blocks it. Stops on the pitch. Silly point fielder. Is that Burns there? Goes across to pick up. And there is no run. 3 close catches around the bat. Root tries again. Bowls to Gabriel. Again slides one past his outside edge. The non-spinner. And Gabriel survives the over. So presumably drinks will come onto the field. Indeed they do. And we are going into the last hour of this test match. 15 overs for West Indies to survive, or an hour's cricket. England can bowl more than 15 in the last hour. You'd think with the new ball available with 5 overs left that the seamers will be back, and it's unlikely to get through that extra over or 2. You never know. I mean, actually, if they did do that, they could whip through to a new ball very quickly, couldn't they? And get a few more overs of the new ball. But actually, you want to in this situation, you want to concentrate on every ball, don't you? You don't want to rush. You want to try to make sure every ball counts.
Well, they've got 90 balls to get 1 wicket. Don't think it's going to be too long. England have been excellent this week. Very disciplined with the bat. Dom Sibley, I was amazed about the amount of kind of semi-criticism that he got for the way that he played and the attritional approach. Well, he did his job for the team, and then Ben Stokes was wonderful. Scoring 469, it just sets up your game. It sets the foundation up for the way that you can play the game. That allowed England to have a quiet period with the ball yesterday afternoon, then exploded with that second new ball, and then to come out and strike 120 odd in 19 overs. I know in Ben Stokes they've got an incredible cricketer that pretty much can play any situation, so they're very fortunate to have him. But they've played the game very, very disciplined and with the right approach throughout the whole week. I guess from now until Friday, it'll be all about the conversation of who's going to keep the place, who's going to potentially come back in, should they change. When you've performed like they have done and it's looked a real team effort, do you change? That'll be a question, knowing that in a few days' time they'll play a game of cricket just 2 pitches along from the one that they've played on. So this group of 11 know exactly how. I can't imagine that the pitch is going to play too much differently. And you've got 11 players that know exactly how to play on this wicket, and they've had a 5-day experience on it. Is it worth changing? That'll be the conversation that the management, Joe Root, will have over the course of the next few days. But when you've got the likes of Mark Wood, Jimmy Anderson, Jofra Archer waiting in the wings, Jack Leach, is it worth bringing in a left-arm spinner with so many West Indies having, playing the game right-handed? That's probably one area I would look at. Lots of options, Simon.
Yeah, the Leach for best option is a potential one, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And a sensible one. It's not, he's a young off-spinner, Don Bess. He's had a tremendous day. You'll know that, but he's learning. You don't want to swap and change when you've got a young spinner. You want to give him as many test matches as possible to get used to all conditions. But when the opposing side have got so many right-handers, that would be a sensible move.
Yeah. It's a tactical move, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's not about taking someone out necessarily because they've had a poor game. There's lots of players have poor games and come back in the next test. Sometimes batsmen get 2 low scores and get picked again and again. But you think it could be a tactical option for England, even if Best were to wrap it up here. Mind you, bowled a lovely delivery to get rid of Holder, who's perhaps freed up a bit after hitting a 4 and a 6, and he spun one through the gate. Holder left a gap between bat and pad and was bowled leg stump. Lovely off spinners dismissal to a right-hander. So here we go, the last hour, just worth taking note of the time. It's a fraction past the 6:15. Bess bowls to Roach. Roach clips it away. Is he caught at short leg? He is. At the second attempt by Ollie Pope. Fine catch, and England have won the match at the start of the final hour. West Indies have been bowled out for 198. and Bess takes the wicket that clinches England's victory with considerable help from Ollie Pope. It was hit firmly by Roach, and Pope at the second attempt clung on. It's 1-1.
What a brilliant catch. I've just got in the chair, microphone on, and fielding a short leg. Ollie Pope, he's clipped it full off the face. He was expecting probably two, and the reaction to get in the way of it, and then be able to get off your knees and dive one-handed forward to get the rebound. Brilliant work by Ollie Pope, and a great win by England.
Yeah, when you consider where they were yesterday afternoon, West Indies 3 down, 199 on the board, digging in, pitch looked flat, 17 wickets in a day and a half. It looked a long way off this, but just past 6:15 on the final day with 14.5 overs to spare. England have won by 113 runs. And they'll be very pleased with themselves and a bit relieved as well. It was hard work. I think they knew it was going to be hard work on this final day. At one stage it looked as though it might happen quickly, and then West Indies dug in. There was a century partnership in there as well. It just shows you can if you keep believing, keep going, things can happen. And it does set up Friday very nicely.
Been 2 brilliant test matches, one at Southampton and one here. And England under pressure, weren't they, coming into this game? You forget that. Beginning of the week, knowing that a draw would mean that West Indies would retain the Wisden Trophy, and they had to win. And they played some, from pretty much all of day one, they've been in control. Dom Sibley set it up with Ben Stokes and that mammoth partnership. And just there was just wearing West Indies down. If there'd been no rain, it would have been quite a comfortable victory, you'd have said for England. But well done, Joe Root. Welcome back. And yeah, he'll be very happy.
Yeah, what about West Indies on that final day, or the final day and a half, really? When they look back, they'll look back with frustration. In fact, they weren't able to practice. I mean, if they got 330, 340, it would have been so much harder for England to win the game.
It's a wonderful world of cricket in the ifs and buts. Exactly what England was saying in that test match at Southampton. If only we didn't collapse in that innings. But West Indies looked like the game was drifting for a draw, and then Stuart Broad, that 3-for-1 spell, turned it on the head and gave England an opportunity, and they were good enough today to push hard. And you saw the way they came out to bat this morning. First ball, Ben Stokes faced, cracked it only for one, but you saw the intent. There was no messing around. They knew how important it was, and they're a very, very good win for England.
The noise you can hear in the background is the hover cover being brought onto the ground. Which pitch are they going to put it on? That's the question. Anyway, it's lurking there at the moment. England's bowling for 3 for Broad today, 2 for Wokes, 2 for Best, 2 for Stokes, and 1 for Curran. So an all-round England bowling effort on that final day. 5 bowlers all chipping in.
Yeah, and as Michael Vaughan was just talking about, the options that England have next on Friday is going to be, I think, going to take a lot of column inches, actually. I think it's going to be a really tough decision for the manager, unless they've explained to the players this is exactly what's happened, but it's hard to leave out many of those from this performance.
Yeah. So, Alistair, you're leaving us now, but what have been your impressions of the 2 test matches you've seen so far?
I think that, in my eyes, it's been quite as I thought it was going to go. It's West Indies batting consistently over the 15 days. I didn't think they would be able to do it for the 15 days to win. Both bowling attacks, I think, have got the power to take 20 wickets. England will be pleased how they batted here. They dug in, they learned the lessons of going big. A lot of starts in Southampton. And then obviously Ben Stokes and Dom Sibley got the reward, but you have to do it. You have to cash in, and you don't lose many games when you get 450. It's going to be a hard effort for West Indies to regroup. I think they're might have to play 2 spinners here next week. Well, hopefully Cornwall might play. It's something slightly different for England to face. A couple of top order issues for West Indies with Hope and Campbell. Haven't scored that many runs. So yeah, I mean, England will be pleased they bounced back. They'll be frustrated that, in a way, that Southampton performance happened, because they tend to lose a game and then bounce back brilliantly and win a game. But I think they'll go into Friday with a lot of confidence, a lot of hard work to do to win it. But I expect England, if they get the weather to continue building on this momentum.
Great, thanks very much, Alistair. Thanks for your contributions over the last 2 Test matches. Back to the day job now, isn't it? Back to trying to score some runs again. Remember that?
Seems a long time ago, last September.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. We'll keep an eye on that over the next few weeks of the county game starting on the 1st of August. So England have won the second Test match. They've beaten West Indies by 113 runs, completing victory at the start of the final hour with Dom Bess taking the wicket of Kemar Roach. An excellent catch at the second attempt by Pope at short leg, and all the England bowlers contributing today with 3 for Broad, 2 for Wokes, 1 for Curran, 2 for Bess and 2 for Ben Stokes, who's had a magnificent game for England, very clearly the man of the match. We'll be getting a reaction before we leave you. Some resistance from West Indies today, some serious resistance from Blackwood again with 55 and Shamar Brooks with 62. They put together a stand of 100. It was getting frustrating for England, but then Stokes, just before tea with a short ball, inducing Blackwood to glove it to Butler, who dived forward and just about clung on. And from that moment, you always felt the game was moving in England's favour, and they won it with 14.5 overs to spare. Michael Vaughan is here, Carlos Brathwaite is here, Jonathan Agnew will speak to the 2 captains and the man of the match. Carlos, let's get your reaction. Very happy with West Indies, a week or so ago down in Southampton. What about their performance today, first of all?
Today's performance, not impressive, but not as bad as the result will make it seem. A challenging 5th-day pitch. Obviously, England with the wind in the sails. The new ball did what it was supposed to do. But I love the fight from Brooks, Blackwood. Got a little bit of resistance from Jason Holder, not enough. But again, it's the same thing. We don't think that the West Indies batting lineup has the ability to go on and score 400, and as a result you're always expecting every single person to chip in with a 30 or a 40. Brooks would have gotten 2 sixes in the game. You want him to go on and get 100, 120. And if I summarize the whole game, it's a product of our first class setup and first class system. The fast bowlers run in, bowling down the channel, and they know that if they do that long enough, they'll get a wicket. Whereas you come to test level and you find guys that are willing to bat 300